Recording in progress.
We all set? Call the meeting to order at 6:30. First item is any additions, removals, or modifications to the meeting agenda pursuant to 1 VSA section 312D3A. We would like to scratch the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission update from the agenda. That's item 5. Put that on probably our next meeting agenda. There was a little bit of a mix-up between our representative of the commission, Alice, and us on information that she wanted to have before us, so we thought it would be better just to wait. It's not an urgent discussion. And we'd like to add consideration of improvements to the Pines picnic area as a substitute for Article 5, if that's okay with folks.
Sounds good.
And can explain that when we get there. Okay, if that's good, is there anybody here for the public forum?
Oh, did we need to add another item to?
Yes, sorry.
Sorry,
You.
the consent agenda?
Paper to
Yes.
try to keep up with things. Also, we'd like to add a first and third class liquor license renewal and an outdoor consumption permit for the Big Picture Theater. They've been before us several times. Our policy is to have new license applicants come before us for their first time, and the second year after that, just to check in with, to make sure things are going. So we thought we can just add that to the consent agenda, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Anybody here for the public forum? Great. So our first item of regular business is Department of Liquor Control catering permit for Sugar Bush to provide alcohol for the Roundup Revival. And as I just said, our typical process is first-time applicant. We haven't issued a liquor license before. We ask them to come before us just to check in with them. And when Melissa and York and I talked about today's agenda, we thought that we should stick to our policy in order to, by doing that. So, Josh, I expect that's what you guys are here for.
So yeah,
I'm from Sugar Bush.
Okay.
Great.
So maybe just what are your, you can come on up.
Yeah, sure.
And what your plans are and how the liquor control permit fits into it. And then we'll ask you whether all of your servers have been through all the training that they need, and you'll say they have.
Sure. So I'm Keith Paxman. I'm the Vice President of Food and Beverage up at Sugar Bush. So Josh and I have been working together to do the Roundup Revival, which I'm assuming you're all familiar with.
Yay!
Yeah, we've been putting a lot of effort into this.
And that public festival permit application is on our consent agenda tonight.
Yeah, so we could probably discuss both those things.
We don't have to discuss the public festival permit.
Okay,
because that's
great.
on our consent agenda. I mean, and we haven't taken it off, so.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, I guess give us a.
Sure. So what we're looking to do is similar to how it used to be over at the Sweet Spot. We're looking to move it over to the green. We're going to be inviting in about 3 vendors each week. It's going to be a live music series. So there'll be bands coming in every single week. And then Sugar Bush is looking to do kind of the beer and wine for the event, or the alcohol for the event. We will be coming in on Thursday mornings and fencing an area, which I believe probably my admin had sent in. Had she sent in a diagram of that?
You know, we have the public festival permit. We no longer get the, what you submit to the Department of Liquor Control.
Sure.
We used to get copied of it.
Got you.
We never see that. So.
If it's something that you would like, I can certainly send it, but I can. I'm here to kind of explain it right now.
Yeah.
So on the south side of the green, is that still the optometrist right there?
Yes.
You have the wood fencing. We plan on coming off of that corner with festival fencing and just kind of coming straight up that way towards the back, more not all the way to the trees, but kind of up around the picnic table area, right? And then we will come towards the Valerie Porter and Brothers building, and along kind of the edge of the green there, and where Brothers, the back of Brothers parking lot is, that is where we're looking to put kind of the food trucks every night. So the fence will continue around that way, and we haven't really come up with the exact spot of where the bar is going to be, but it'll be within that fenced-in area. With that fenced-in area, we will have 2 entrance points. At each entrance point, there'll be a sign saying, please no outside food or alcohol within this area, because that'll be the permanent area that we'll be controlling the alcohol for. And then on the opposite side of that, when people are exiting, there'll be the sign saying, no alcohol beyond this point. So it'll be a fenced-in area.
Yep.
And then we'll have 2 licensed bartenders every single night who are certified, and they get their renewals every single year. And it's 2 people that basically do all our weddings and events and everything at the mountain, so we're used to dealing with very large, we deal with thousands of people a weekend, so.
Are you serving beyond beer and wine, or?
We have partnered with Bar Hill and also with Mad River Distillers, so we'll be doing 1 batch cocktail from Mad River Distillers, since they are a sponsor of the event, and same with Bar Hill. We'll be doing their canned craft cocktail. So that'll be, aside from those 2 things, there won't be, vodkas and all these other alcohols.
Yeah.
It's just a batch cocktail basically from the 2 sponsors.
Cool.
Any other questions? Great. And I just want to point out, looking back at the public festival permit, it does state that it's not a for-profit event, it's a community event. There
Correct.
was a request to waive the fee. By keeping it on the consent agenda, I'm going to just assume that includes that we're all agreeing to waive the fee. Okay.
Fine.
Just wanted to be clear about that, because it's not.
Can I just ask how I don't know if you know this, but the kind of the square footage you have fenced in, like how that would compare to the old Roundup that didn't really have fences and had a lot of room for people to spread out?
Sure. My guess is that it will be a larger area. As you remember at the old Roundup, it was very small green space where it felt like everybody would cram into that little grassed area. So this is designed really for people to kind of spread out and have it be more of a weekly music series that you might find in like Stowe or something like that.
And then we'll be using the other section of the green that goes off towards Northfield Savings Bank for non-food and beverage related activities. Inklings Children's Books is going to set up about 5 or 6 times during the summer and set up kind of a kids corner.
Awesome.
We're inviting anybody who wants to stop by for free to do vending, 50-50 raffle, whatever. And so trying to make it like a full community event.
Yeah.
Cool. And what are the hours?
It'll be on Thursdays from 5 to 8.
So music done by 8?
Yeah.
Needs to be done at 8 o'clock.
The music will be done at 8.
With the goal of hopefully everybody being gone, by 8:30, 9 probably at the latest.
Yeah.
And so for everyone watching Mad River TV, and what's the first day and the
Yeah.
First one's on July 2nd, so a week from Thursday. Trying to kick off the kind of full summer and the holiday weekend, and it'll be running 10 weeks until September 3rd, right before Labor Day.
Any other questions? Motion?
That answers all mine.
This be a motion on the liquor permit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the liquor permit as requested.
Second?
I'd second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Great. Good luck.
Thanks for
Thank
you all.
coming
Thank
and
you
very
for
much.
like
Taking this on.
Appreciate the
yeah,
support.
seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Have a great night.
Second item is Village Marketplace entrance improvements. And we do have a proposal from Kingsbury Construction to fix the sidewalk,
This just came through.
Oh, okay, sweet. Okay.
so maybe to back up a minute, Kelly Mazer, one of the property owners of the marketplace, or the owner of the marketplace, made a request that the town participate in some of the remediation of some of the property and maybe some of the maintenance issues in there, recognizing that the parking area for the marketplace and for the Fuller House are widely used by the public for recreation purposes just on a regular basis. And in particular, it was brought to our attention that the entranceway is in pretty bad shape. That includes the apron from Route 100 down into the parking area, the town sidewalk that crosses there, and there is a manhole cover owned by Mad River,
Waitsfield
Telecom, that is about 8 inches up above higher than the ground. So York reached out to Kingsbury not under any commitment to do any of the work, but to get an idea of what that work would cost in order to have a conversation. Kelly, do you want to kind of explain in better detail what you had reached out to us about and what your thoughts are?
Yeah, definitely. I know that, Chris Pearson has done a lot of work. I'm just kind of waiting for him to come up. I think he was going to be here.
He said he was down here this earlier today.
Yeah, I know, it's surprising. Are we on time, or is he late? Are we early?
No, we're-
We
Okay.
are perfect.
Oh, we're good, okay.
You're perfect.
Yeah.
I echo Josh.
Yeah, so he's been working with the Agency of Transportation and I've kind of let him, he's been working on this for a year now, and maybe you have a little bit more, we probably have the same dialogue, York and I, with Chris about his work with AOT to figure out whose responsibility that pothole, that manhole cover is. And then I had reached out a while ago just being like, I know that does belong to the Waitsfield Telecom. So for them to have the permit or to have it there, is there any kind of like upkeep and maintenance? And so I think Chris is still really like pushing the Agency of Transportation. And of course, we always get there's not enough people to do the work. And so we're kind of like getting to some roadblocks, and that's where Chris and I had talked about then coming here to see if we could get the town support as well. When you look at that space, and I read your email about like the scope of work for Kingsbury, and it was a lot about the sidewalk repair right there, and like what that has to do with
This proposal that just came in about an hour ago is about 21,000 and change. That's for adding 2 sections of the sidewalk, or 1 section of sidewalk on the north side, just to narrow it a little bit. Brian and I talked about it, and then I asked Josh Schwartz, who happens to be here in the Mad River Planning District, and basically narrower is always better. It just would feel
Narrow
safer.
the sidewalk or narrow the
entrance.
The entrance,
By
okay.
adding sidewalk.
That makes sense.
So just adding basically a 4 or 5 foot section. And that would be on the north side, so we're just bringing it in. And if you look at it, you can tell that the sidewalks are kind of far.
Yeah.
It's one of the only sections of sidewalks that the town put in that doesn't actually have sidewalk, it's asphalt.
So and then how would that help? Is it just to
That's totally
make it more
separate.
complete? Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
and then
Got it.
the quote for the 21 and change is grinding down everything all the way back to well past the manhole cover.
Yeah.
I didn't measure it, but it's many feet past it.
Yeah.
Towards the river, lowering the manhole cover, because they think that was part of the problem. So I think there can be more dialogue with Waitsfield Telecom now that we know more. And then re-asphalting the whole thing, all the way, the whole apron.
Okay.
And that's what the quote is for.
Yeah.
And I know when you reached out, I think it was a larger discussion about the parking area and the town's right away across the pocket park at the river. And that's a discussion we're open to having. But
I felt a little bad like laying it all on, because this does seem to be, like this manhole cover is definitely a situation that has to probably get remedied. It's almost like it's a pretty big hazard.
Yeah.
And then for me, I've had my continuing like, we got to have a plan for maintenance on Bridge Street, and the bricks like look so bad, just the weeds and the dirt, and I just drive by and we're gonna take the pressure washer out like we do, we typically do as you're driving to the bridge, the right hand side, but this is like kind of by the library in front of like All Things Bright and Beautiful, and this is the Bridge Street abutment, and it just is like, I took wedding pictures at the bridge, and there's no way I would do that now. It's kind of, for me, it's embarrassing. And I'm fine with getting help. I can get the work done. And so what I was thinking is if we could collaborate or get a line item, or if there is any extra money. I mean, we're not talking a ton of money. and just have a plan in place. Because it adds
So
up.
this is.
This is separate, I guess.
Yeah.
Kinda, maybe we should go back, one at a time type of thing, or, I don't know. So yeah, that was my initial email, was to talk about what, the weeds and the parking lot and like that kind of thing. And then this became a little bit more serious with the pothole, or the manhole cover.
And I think that when Brooke and I had talked about it with Josh, I mean, it's a state highway. It's not something the town would normally be involved in, but it is our sidewalk.
I see, yeah.
And the sidewalk is part of the,
It's a shame, yeah.
it's part of the potholes in the middle of the sidewalk. So
Mm-hmm.
it's an issue for us as well. And we were,
And then that was the other reason why I was hoping Chris would be here, is just his dialogue about when the water line went in. He has a argument about where it's settling from when the town water went in. But I don't have a lot of, a very good way to articulate that from the experience that he has. So.
Yeah, I mean, the sidewalk, is what it is. The Waitsfield Telecom, I think we should circle back with them. I've actually pressed them a few times about this. And they've been helpful, at least my point of contact, but their engineering department's not as helpful. But I think now that there's more information, and Kingsbury said this is part of the problem, how high it is.
Okay.
I think we can circle back with them. The water line, I mean, I think that's why in my email to you I sent a week or so ago, talked about cost sharing. I mean, besides the sidewalk, the apron, it's yours and Chris's.
It's not, as far as the documents go, as the right-of-way for the state. It's in the right-of-way for the Vermont Department.
It is the right-of-way, that's correct. Just like, so we're redoing, I have an 1111 permit to fix our entrance. If you drove up, you notice it's really bumpy. It's in the right-of-way, but it's the responsibility of the parcel owner for that upkeep, if that makes sense. And I had these conversations with V-Trans about that spot as well, the Village Marketplace entrance. And that's my understanding. Whether it's fair or not, I don't know.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, if you figure out I'm wrong, let me know so they can help pay for our apron as well. That'd be great.
Yeah, that's why I wish Pearson was here, because he has some language on that, so I guess.
well,
We'll have to
he
get back.
mentioned to you, York, that he feels fairly strongly that it is a V-Trans responsibility.
He does. And I think he referenced Waitsfield Telecom as well.
Yeah.
But yes, he does feel strongly. I think there could be some pushback on that. And just what I understand,
Yeah.
that when you buy a piece of property, I don't know how to put this any other way, you buy the property, which includes that apron, whether it was off a town highway or a state highway. That driveway is your responsibility, which I think the sidewalk is somewhat of a complication, of course, and that's a different story, I think.
Yeah, that and like maybe the easement for that, for the manhole cover, and
That's
like the permitting to have that, such as like when we gave an easement to the town for the pocket park, walkway.
Yep. And
That-
that I hope we bring stay mat to soon, by the way.
Yeah.
Which we did last year.
Yeah. Actually, there is not a big puddle right now.
It shows up
Yeah.
when it rains, yeah. But
Yeah.
it is better
But
than
not
it was last year,
at
you're
this
right.
moment. There's no puddle, but.
That's great.
But it is on the cruise summer plan.
Yeah.
I think on a regular basis, we understand that we need to take responsibility for maintaining that walkway.
Okay. Yeah. And like for what it's worth, I mean, the puck part is it's filled in with silt from the water, so you can't see the little outline that we worked hard to have. So just things like that. And I guess I'm here to say that I'm willing to help get the work done if I could get also some financial support from the town, or if there is any, money somewhere to help support that. I mean, I pay to maintain the pocket park since 2018.
And
right?
I was there one day when your landscapers
Yeah.
were working, and it looks wicked good.
I mean, yeah, it could be better, but and it's just kind of like, there's a little bit of like, with me on that. So,
Well, in Bridge Street, it's definitely the town's responsibility.
yeah.
I think the last time it was power washed, you were on the select board and you and your father did it as volunteers.
Yeah, we've done it several times, and then the path, what is it, the MRB steward?
Yeah.
Tom Spencer is awesome, and his crew is so great, and we weeded it and did all that, and then, and the bricks, it was a volunteer piece, and they look great, but they weren't really done. They're settled and sinking and twisted and dirt, it's just not pretty, and that was the whole point, to have it be that way. So, and again, I can like spearhead the work, if we could just, maybe even that's the next year's budgeting, even if it's like $2,000, I mean, it's not even that much money.
I'm trying to remember, we had a similar issue with the library, remember with the kind of the public space behind the library or adjacent to the library. Do you remember how that resolved? We ended up putting something towards that, and I can't remember if
Are you talking
we
about
gave
that-
the work or we just gave them a little more money.
Well, we
for them
gave
to do
them
the work.
ARPA money for that staircase. But I
Right.
think we also
Okay.
did something with the walkway between Bridge Street and the park.
But I thought there was something around the ongoing maintenance of the,
We did spend some money to redo the big planter thing in the middle, I believe, at one point.
And historically,
those were
they
kind of one
contract.
time rather than ongoing.
Historically, they contracted with Ed Reed and his business to do the landscaping there, and the library paid that, so that was part of, what Facein and Waitsfield's share. This year, our road crew took up the cleaning up of the park before it opened, and they were doing the mowing, and they're going to do the closing of the park, which is saving the library and the town a pretty good amount of money, actually. And I think our road department is mowing Pocket Park, correct?
Yes, they are. I think they're down there. What?
Different subject. Never mind.
Yeah, because I went down and just like scoped it out today.
Well, I mean, from what I can do, I think it would be cool to have an idea of what you guys did last time and see what kind of community event we could do to clean up Bridge Street, for example, and then see what assets, money would be needed for that, and then see if we can find, we have some money in the budget
Yeah.
for parks and other things. And that would maybe, if the select board wants, that might be an appropriate use of that funds, even if it's after July 1st, which is probably
No,
what it would be.
I think that's reasonable. Just maybe you guys can get together and talk about what a scope of work might look like
Okay.
and what our role might be, both as a potential funder and our crew can participate.
Would that be okay, Kelly?
Yeah, I think
At
that's
least
fine.
about Bridge Street.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts here, but one.
One thing at a time. No, just I would love to get, and I'm going to pressure wash too. So and I want to have that happen before the 4th. But again, it's just making a plan for the future.
And that
And
is-
like just having something like where I can I'll get the work done. I just, so you guys don't have to. I know the road crew is in a situation.
And as far as the driveway entrance goes, maybe it would help if we got together with Chris
Yeah.
to really understood what his position with V-Trans is, and we could perhaps reach out to V-Trans. We get the same runaround on
I know.
striping, on street sweeping. It took 3 years, but they've been more responsive a little bit lately.
Okay.
And I do have, I walk that section of sidewalk, and I would really like to see the driveway narrowed a little bit, because it is pretty big. You have
Yeah.
it right at the bend in the road where cars are coming at you, and I think it would just make it better looking and better, safer for pedestrians.
Yeah, definitely.
So we I think, could possibly deal with that portion of it. That might help things out.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess we could do the same thing for the parking lot in the back. If I just got, every year we just get Dunbar down there to bring some stone, and yeah, I'm responsible for by the Twisted Halo and, you know, that area, but we're just that back parking lot, you know, where everybody parks. It's like the one spot where it's one of our most popular swimming holes, and that's just where everybody goes. And so it's really not crazy. We just get it graded and get some, you know, sand back there. It's a few $1,000s, and I'm not saying, you know, all of that for the town responsibility, but just a little chip in would be helpful.
The town, as you'll remember, the town did get a pretty sizable grant to do all the rock work along the river 10 years ago or so. I
didn't
agree
know
with
that.
you. Yeah, all that was.
The riprap.
The riprap, yeah. I think what we might hear from people is putting money into private property is, okay, what's the public benefit? There is a
Right.
public benefit in that it's a recreational resource. You're not letting only customers to the businesses use it.
Right.
I guess I would want some assurance that in the year that we would partner with you, that would still be available to the public, you know, for swimming.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I would hate the nightmare of enforcing it and keeping people out of there would be worse than anything for you.
For sure. You know, when I thought about like the whole pay to park and like what that would look like, and I'm like, oh, it's just, you know, you just don't want to deal with that. But then you'd have a lot of money to make it really beautiful.
So as far as that goes, maybe you could also get together with.
I'm much more accessible now for the next month or so, where I can
Are
get
you
all
in town
that
for the
together.
next?
Yeah.
You mean for the parking lot part?
I just get an idea of what a proposal would look like.
Okay.
Yeah, I can pull up what I've paid in the past and, you know, going forward, yeah.
And it could be that, you know, just a collaboration with our road department and we might be able, if we can dump stuff there and
Totally.
spread it, if there's
Yeah.
there might be some good working arrangement we can have, since it is a clear public benefit, that parking lot.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was thinking
If
too.
I have an
We
idea
have
of what the
equipment.
scope of work is and what you guys usually use,
So
then I
easy.
can work with our road crews, see what they have available. I think we're pretty low on state map, for example, right now.
I think
But the
that's
parking
Chris.
lot's probably not state, it is, Chris. The parking lot's not state map though, right? The parking lot
Correct,
is
no.
Gravel.
Yeah, it's gravel, yeah.
Is the parking lot shared by you and Chris, like the maintenance of the parking lot?
It is, yeah. Yep. Do you know where the dumpsters are in the back by the red? It's kind of like cuts at an angle if you're looking at the dumpsters, is like Chris's
Like the
section.
property line?
The property line, yeah. And then the condo association's on the other side, yeah. And the condo association is the red, white, and blue and yellow building, like dark reds. Hi. I know.
I thought we started at 7.
Nope, 6:30.
6:30.
It was 6:30.
Things have
and
changed.
We just have so much to cover, Chris. We have to start a half hour earlier.
I know. I was like, are we early or is Chris late? But we were just kind of talking. It was great that you're here because we're almost done. But I was talking about, well, I was just talking about the other stuff too.
Timing is everything.
Yeah. Oh, and we just got a proposal from Kingsbury. So I just was filling in on kind of the other Bridge Street stuff that I wanted to talk about in the parking lot.
So do we have a plan to move forward, Chris, on talking about some shared responsibility in the parking area that provides a public purpose by providing parking for people recreating? We have a plan for talking about Bridge Street and making some maintenance there. And what we had hoped to do was you and York get together and talk about V-Trans and what you consider their responsibility and see if we can help move that along. We'd also, we want to make some of the sidewalk improvements, so that would be part of a bigger plan to fix up the parking area. York has been working with Waitsfield Telecom to try to get their attention about the manhole. So we're not going to settle anything tonight, but I think we all want to see if we can work together to come up with a plan to get it done right, hopefully with V-Trans involvement. Does that make sense? You've been working with V-Trans for a while.
It's all on V-Trans as far as I'm concerned.
That's what we thought
Every
too.
single inch of it is on V-Trans. So yeah,
I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the information that I dropped off to York. I mean,
On the SD card,
entire,
not yet.
the entire curb, the entire envelope of the pavement is within their right of way. Everything is within their right of way. They don't have, the only permit they have that they could show me, because after I escalated things after Ashley Atkins rejected me like a scratched record, the only person that responded to me when I took it all to the top level was Jeremy Reed, I think his name is. He's the head engineer. He's the only one decent enough to even respond to anything. And he was regurgitating the same crap she did. And the fact of the matter is, if you look, that there was an image that I showed that actually demonstrates the outlines of what the curb is, or what their responsibilities are. It outlines exactly what their responsibilities are. That's exactly what is there. So everything that is there was A, permitted by them, either installed by them or overseen by them, approved, the engineering approved by them, and inspected by them. None of it has anything to do with property owners like us.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. If it's within the right of way, they give you the curb cut permit, but like out here, we install the driveway, not V-Trans. And the maintenance of the driveway outside of the travel way and the curb falls on the landowner. That's likely the argument you're
Even if it's their right of way.
Yeah.
That's right. Just like
I don't
if
know.
you
The way I read it, that is not. I mean, the only thing that I found discretionary in there was otherwise dictated by AOT. Well,
We haven't seen any of the materials and
right, because they don't have any.
of what you dropped off. But we can explore this with you. I think you might find out that as a property owner, you're responsible for the driveway to the point where it hits the travel way. And that is not unusual.
Well, I would ask you to review the documentation that I sent you today.
Yeah, and
we'll do
I
that.
started reviewing it.
And we'd be happy to participate in any talks with V-Trans if that provide, we've
And I would understand that if we didn't have the storm, what am I trying to say, from telecom?
yeah.
Manhole. Like, I'd understand if there wasn't other infrastructure like that has caused the problem, that it would be on the landowner, right? Like with this, for instance, here in this town office, like that curb cut, that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean,
But this was this caused the problem.
Yeah,
and when the
that's why I
water
think-
system was installed, the right there at our entrance, when it was installed, the contractor was digging the ditch. It's all ledge right there. And I believe they went down to 6 feet. They didn't go 4 feet, they went down 6 feet. I'm sure they did that because it was just like, you know what, we don't want to have to come back here and fix this thing if it freezes. So they went extra deep there, I believe. I believe they did their best to compact it properly. But by the same token, if you drive in there, I drive an F-250, you drive in there, it's a whoop-de-whoop to get in and out of that lot. Well, also I've been plowing that entrance for 25 years. I had never hit that manhole cover until before that project was done. When it was done, I filed a complaint. I said something to the current town administrator at the time about it. I said, no, there's something wrong here. This needs to be addressed. Nothing was done. Well, consequently, since then, and if you look at the conversation I've been having with AOT, it clearly outlines and demonstrates with photography the deterioration of that envelope that's occurred since they did the last paving project in 2015.
And did they pave the apron?
What's that?
Did they pave the apron in 2015?
They paved part of it. They paved the part that they're now saying that they're responsible for. Well, who put that pavement there before? It sure as hell wasn't a property owner.
Well, We haven't seen any of that, and we've
I
spent.
do have it on my computer now. I had to go buy an SD card reader.
I could have lent you mine.
So we can follow up with York, and we'll be glad to look into whether we can help with V-Trans. We still want to understand what we want to do for the sidewalk. It should be coordinated with all of that.
Well, another issue is too, the culvert that goes under 100 there. You know, I've been dealing with it, I thought it was 9 years, I was doing some research this afternoon. I've been dealing with it since 2015. It's since they redid the pavement. That culvert has been failing. And it's been putting so much silt onto my property. It's not funny. It's killing trees. It's killing vegetation. It's the way the culvert historically worked is it went through a culvert onto my property and then it infiltrated into the soils, and that's how it found its way back into the river. Well, those soils are so full of sediment on top of it now, it's going to start running across our parking lot.
That's another V-Trans culvert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's failing, and and I said something to Ashley about it, and you know, for 15 years they've been telling me I had a squirrel problem. Well, they finally came out last year, and they said they put a camera in it, and then they sent a crew out and they flushed, and they're like, oh no, yeah, there's a separation in the culvert. And it's like, no kidding. I've been telling you that for 15 years, and you know I don't know who the gentleman was that was there. I was just like, I don't know where all this sediment is coming from. If it isn't coming from here and the erosion on the other side of the road. And I've got photos of the other side of the road and the erosion that's occurring there that go back till 2015. And the gentleman's there and he goes, well, you know, there's all this water that comes all the way down from that hill all the way up there near Corey's, and I was just like, I didn't have the heart to go, well, you know this road is paved, don't you? So where's that erosion coming from? Is the pavement eroding? No, the pavement's not eroding. You don't use winter sand.
So we're going to have to move on. I think we're not going to settle this tonight by any stretch. We haven't looked at any of the.
But they're going to replace that culvert, is the thing, is what they're saying. They're going to replace that culvert in 2030. Yeah, so another 4 years.
Well, why don't, is it okay if either three of us can get together and just understand the scope of work, understand where I could, like, where you're coming from each end, and I've started understanding a little bit, but so I can reach back out to V-Trans. We've had pretty good success this year. V-Trans has spent over a week cleaning up Main Street, which I think is visible, and they still have work that they're planning. I understand the scope of work for Bridge Street, Pocket Park, the easement for the path, and the entrance, which Kingsbury provided the quote for this afternoon. Would that be okay? Would you guys be okay with meeting and us coming up with, at least somewhat of the next plan? Because I think there's ways that we can collaborate on the parking lot, et cetera.
It's all relative, you know. It's what are those ideas?
Well, we'll work it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to sit down and meet with you guys, and if we can get that, help from the town to push V-Trans.
I get the sense that V-Trans is on the understaffed side, and to the extent that it's definitely seemed like the squeaky wheels are getting traction, and York is a very eloquent squeaky wheel.
All the rest.
But I think that to whatever extent having sort of his weighing in to like lend additional well, not necessarily gravitas, but just like oomph to what you're trying to communicate. I know that it's really frustrating because
I do think we have more information now to go back to Waitsfield Telecom and say, this is what Kingsbury identified as a problem also. I mean, I don't think we heard Chris, Kingsbury thinks the manhole is the biggest problem, that it was too high and that's creating the biggest issue.
I agree.
And right away, they said the first thing is like, we have to lower the manhole cover. So that's more things for me to go see Waitsfield, and maybe I'll just go stop in tomorrow and then just have that conversation so it's not just over phone and over email.
Yeah.
I agree. That was a conversation I brought up in a select board meeting 12 years ago.
Government takes time. 12 years?
Well, now we're looking at $50,000 bill.
No,
Well,
that's,
Yeah.
21.
It's 21,527 for that.
This is several different projects.
yeah,
So
we tried
that's,
to-
that's extending the sidewalk by one section, fixing the manhole cover, and then going back. You can tell where the pavement ends right now, past the manhole cover, grinding all that down and redoing all of it. And that's 21 and a half.
And
I
that
think-
would redo the whole thing. That would solve all of the problems.
I think if you read the documentation that I sent you, it clearly says that the way it's done is the way they specify it should be done. And it was done properly when it was done. And when they've readdressed it, they've just been cheap on the way they've done it. And that's how we got to this point.
Yeah, my hope is that this, and I met with Kingsbury for a while down there, that, and I think we were in agreement that this would remedy it and bring it back to where it should be, which would be amazing. The question is, does the select board want to cover that 21,500, or is there room for, acknowledging that a mobilization is only once in all the work we're doing, and they plan on doing it the next few weeks. So if we push
That's the
that off,
timeframe.
that's fine. We may require another mobilization.
So they're doing work at the wooden boardwalk at the big picture to the street to put in a concrete sidewalk, not just gravel. We have to repair some sidewalk across the street at that old motor lodge there where House Needs was. And we need to fix the sidewalk that we had to tear up to fix the water line down in front of the wine shop. So those are 3 of the projects on this sheet.
Okay.
So we
What-
tried to
What would
loop-
happen to all of this work if we did it in the next couple of weeks when the sewer system goes? Is it gonna get all torn up again?
We should know that. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't believe so. I think
Yeah,
the
not
line's
on-
going down the other side.
Not the stuff by your property.
Is it going on the other side?
The sewer line would be on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
Other side
Right,
of
but
Route
the
100.
properties on my side of the street need to get there, so how does that happen?
We
That
can
happens on Bridge Street, I believe. I'm looking at Josh right behind me, I'm not looking.
Yeah.
So this is something that we can.
Yeah.
And Chris, I'm happy to
like.
like we can meet and I can show you the plans for the wastewater, and we can literally look parcel by parcel where the lines are going in response to those questions, because those are fair questions.
Yeah, I mean, because if my property wants to go on eventually, it's gonna need access, but I don't think it would interfere with the right of way per se, but I don't know how Kelly's property gets there without, unless it goes Bridge Street. But Bridge Street, that's where the water
Yeah.
line for her property goes too, so.
So we'll
Yeah,
take a
we
peek at
can-
that.
When we meet, we can look through the plans
Yeah.
and so you have an idea, because that's part of the outreach that we're really working on starting now anyway, because easements are about to be signed, or be in our hand to be signed.
Okay.
So it's a good time for us to go over those.
Okay.
I think that'd be great.
All right.
Alrighty, sounds like a
Thanks.
plan.
So just let me know when you want to meet.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
Okay.
We have an email chain that we started.
Yes. Yeah.
alright, thank you guys.
Okay. Thank
Appreciate it,
you.
Chris. Thanks, Kelly.
So the next item is the community wastewater update.
really
Yeah, I'm gonna
quickly
listen
before
to
we
this. Do you need me for anything?
jump into that.
No, I'm gonna listen.
Josh Turka.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that you're staying for your edification and not for the festival permit.
I was staying for the festival.
Okay, because that's part of the consent agenda,
Okay.
which means that it's basically, we've accepted that it's
Okay.
going to pass.
Fantastic.
So I just you're welcome to stay. I just also know that
No, I
you have.
wasn't sure if that required any other.
No, we're not going to talk about it.
Fantastic.
We're just
All
going to.
right, we're just gonna pass it.
Wonderfully.
Alright.
Thank you. I
But
appreciate it.
needless to say that you do need to be here, just so you can like sit through this enthralling conversation.
It's all right, Rob will fill me in on everything tomorrow.
Thanks, Josh. Sorry to.
No,
No, it's good call.
Good go. I thought he was down in Waitsfield. I did too.
Josh, we got a lot of correspondence on this wastewater project from Robin and you.
Yep.
I guess you're going to start us off with just an update.
Yeah.
Where we are with all of our grants and loans and permitting and design. And then we're going to talk a bit about draft ordinance to oversee the system.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. With one caveat, talking about grants and loans, not so much talking about the recent updates to the project cost estimate. And the specific reason for that is we're going to go out to bid relatively soon. And we don't want to kind of bias the competitive bid process by, we share numbers publicly in the packet or today, that would, the bidders will find those, and that could work against us. So we're going to save that piece till executive session if that works for you.
In executive session, it's an allowed topic as a possible contract negotiation.
Great.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for having me here. It's been continued to be a joy to be able to work on this project for the last couple of years, specifically in collaboration with York and Chach, as well as JB and Bob Cook, which make up the engineering technical team, or at least that's the terminology we've been using for the group that's been meeting every 2 weeks, guiding this project forward in coordination with Du Bois and King, and specifically John Ashley as the engineer on the project. I provided an update from Friday. That's a couple pages and a fair amount of detail, and just a couple of quick highlights and things that I think are worth mentioning. One, the project plans, the D90, the 90% design plan set was completed in mid-April. That the design set essentially looks at the project as 2 contracts, one being the wastewater treatment facility, the other being the broader collection system. So that's the way in which it's treated and sort of broken out into those 2 pieces, but as one project. The entirety of those items in the design set in mid-April were sent to the state. It requires various numbers of permits, and there's been a lot of coordination and back and forth with I listed most of them in the update, from wetlands, historic preservation, V-Trans, so on and so forth, and that work is going forward, and in some cases, bottom line is we don't have the approvals yet, but we're moving in that direction. Having the final feedback, there's been feedback along the way with all of those different entities, and so we don't anticipate any major issues. It just takes some time to get through that process. Once that is completed, then we can get to 100% design, and so that is obviously a huge piece of the puzzle, and then can allow the project to move forward to the bid stage. So the D90 set are currently under that review, and awaiting those permit approvals. Another area for which the work is moving forward is the town attorneys are currently drafting required easements, expected within the next 2 weeks or so. And there's a various number of easements that are required for the project, everything from conveyance system, temporary permits, temporary easements, permanent easements, as well as easements for all the connections with every property. So that work is moving forward. There is another area is an engineering and service agreement, which includes the final design phase. So the last few pieces of the final design phase and the bidding, construction, and post-construction phases of the project. And there's a fair amount of detail in the update about all the different elements that are a part of that. But that essentially is amendment number 5 with Du Bois and King to continue that work and move it all the way through the bid, like I said, to post-construction. From a funding perspective, in addition to the Northern Border Regional Commission funding, USDA Rural Development, ARPA, Clean Water State Revolving Fund, so the town applied for fiscal year 27 congressionally directed spending, CDS funding, specifically through Senator Sanders and Senator Welch's offices. Both of them included the project at the same amount, so not two amounts, but the same amount of $3.5 million of funding towards the project. And they moved that forward. And the next step is Senate Appropriations Subcommittee and having approval on that through that subcommittee. And assuming approval, then it would move to the final appropriations bill, which then would need to be passed by the Senate. This project, 2 years ago, Senator Sanders had the project at this stage, but it was a different amount and it was a different time. But it's great having the support of both Welch's and Sanders' office for this project. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is the Waitsfield wastewater webpage has a fair amount of information. Even this update that was submitted on Friday is up there, the D90 sets. As Chris was wondering, what is the alignment, that information, and the 90% design is all available on the town's website, as well as a variety of other information and updates. We did a sort of an exhaustive spring update, and I can't believe it is now officially summer. I was like, well, that wasn't that long ago, but now we're summer. So, but anyway, so that's just an overview of a handful of different things. Happy to answer any questions, talk about any of the details.
Thanks for all the work.
Yeah, it's great.
Any questions? Josh, do you have any?
I would just call attention to the last little section on near-term activities. The last one in there is, best case construction
Yeah,
starts fall
thank you.
2026. And that, requires all that permitting and bidding and easements to be in place before we can actually start construction. So I'd say that's.
I might have been a little optimistic in that, yeah.
No,
But I think it's within the realm of possibility.
There are distinct advantages for us to start construction as soon as we can. So we're pushing hard to try and make that happen.
Pushing hard is the right. The amount of work going into this is, Larissa, I mean, it's taking a full team effort, and we're all like concerted effort with everyone having their place and pushing the right buttons through permitting and through the state and through funding and the law firm, and there's a lot of moving parts, and it's not simple. And it's taking a team, which is why Robin's here, and Josh, the Mad River Valley Planning District, taking so much, effort to make sure this project happens, because it's that important for the valley. And this is a huge project, and it's not a small undertaking, and it is taking a village to build this.
I mean, just the effort of, we meet every 2 weeks. I take almost an entire day to prep for that meeting, which means following through on all of the email correspondence that have happened in the last 2 weeks about the project. Like, that's the amount of effort that it is to keep track of all of the pieces. And but absolutely, we have a great team that's been moving it forward.
You were saying permitting, you expected permitting in July?
I mean, that's what we've been hearing. I mean, there are a handful of different pieces there. We have an ATT meeting on Wednesday of this week, and I'm looking forward to an update, because there were a couple of things when we met 2 weeks ago that sounded like some of that was coming through within this window of time. So
The permitting effort really started probably at the 60% design, so it's been ongoing for
yeah,
better part of a year.
yeah.
So it's not like, well, we're just starting now. It takes a year, and we've started a year ago.
Yeah, and at the 60% design phase, for instance, like with V-Trans, there was some intense discussions and exploration of like, this is what's being designed, and what are the issues, and there were some challenges that were identified, or considerations that V-Trans had identified, and that's impacted the design. And so the design has evolved, and essentially what's been asked has been delivered on, and so it's really getting that final sort of approval.
And we did archaeology.
Yep. Yeah, the historic preservation
We have
there.
our kind of our indirect discharge permit requirements. They've already set, like, here's your discharge limits, which is awesome. They don't issue the final permit until the design is at the the D90 phase. So we're in the zone. We're close.
And a lot of these requirements are part of the package of applying for our final funding through CWSRF. And it's tight, but I think we're making the deadline of the end of this month.
Yes.
When are you thinking, all right, going out to bid?
What do you think? August? I think the gating issue is probably going to be the easements,
Well,
right?
we have new clarity on the easements.
Yeah.
But
We've been working off the assumption, because, and it turns out this was the rule until just this last year, that you had the easement signed for the pump station, the force main, and the gravity line. And then the letter from the attorney saying that they're adequate. I don't remember what that's called. Before you go out for bid, it's changed, so now that has to be done before you sign a contract. That doesn't mean that we don't have a lot of work ahead of us to make sure we have the easement signed, because we foresee it taking a couple months potentially to get to the point where everything's signed and we have the letter from the attorney. But that relieved a lot of pressure. We realized last week, we're like, maybe we should see if that assumption is real, and it turned out it's not real.
And so, and part of the project that we've learned is you pick up the phone. I mean, it was JB who picked up the phone and called the person in the office, and they picked up and we asked the question and got that clarity. So,
did you get it in writing?
that's
Well, we talked to Wynn Wilson, who is the head of construction for DEC, basically state. So
yeah. We asked the right person.
It kept circling around, and I said, Wynn, I need to ask this, and he's like, you do not need them signed until the contract. It just reduces risk if you have them sooner, which is fair.
Yeah.
But we have to like weigh risk with risk. We have ARPA funding that has to be spent by the end of next summer. So there's these moving parts that we're just trying to be at.
Is that still the case?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
that is documented in writing.
Yeah, I wonder, just having some of the conversations I've had with some folks at A&R lately, it seems as though there is still the potential for clawing back money that is not going to be spent otherwise. And I'm wondering if the town should make a more concerted effort, or if this would be counterproductive, to reach out to the governor's office and say, look, we are so close. This is our housing, this is the housing crisis solution as we see it.
Yeah.
This is a water quality issue, and what can you do anything more? I'm just wondering if you think that would be a...
As of a couple of weeks ago, I had a direct conversation with the commissioner of the Department of Environmental Conservation, specifically about this and about like, are there opportunities? And my read is the same. Obviously, we don't know, but we don't. We want every project to move forward, but our project is well positioned if there is, because we're so far along, because of the progress we've made. My read is that we're well positioned if more funding became available, in the same way that the town was previously.
Yeah.
Originally, we had an award of $2.5 million, and then we received $1 million in addition towards this project because of this very situation.
But are you saying the opposite? That you're
No,
worried about
I talked to
our
I
funds
ran
getting
into the
clawed back?
secretary at a retirement party, and I don't want to, not hers.
That's good.
I can't quote, but I got the strong impression that Waitsfield is at the top of the list, and that there is a potential for more money. And I think by reaching out, it could be counterproductive, because they don't like having people go over their head when they're already there. It wouldn't be a complaint. It would be, maybe that would be the place to go, to the secretary, and say, is there anything else you can do?
I think that's a good idea.
I think the secretary is a great idea.
Yeah, I think that would probably be better than the governor's office, because.
Yep.
So let's talk about that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. I'll write that down.
Robin, so in addition to working on a design and all of the other logistics associated with building the system, I think Robin, through his initiative, reminded us that we need to get ahead on the operations and on the ordinance. Like we have a water ordinance that controls the operation of our water system, we need to have a wastewater ordinance. And Robin has put in a significant amount of time working with some of us, with the Water Commission, with myself, with York, and with Josh to draft an ordinance that he sent out to you over the weekend, along with some other materials associated with what is our fee schedule going to be, which we need to know before we reach out to get people to sign easements and sign onto the system. And other aspects of how this is going to be coordinated with the water system. And the draft ordinance anticipates that the Water Commission become the Wastewater and Water Commission, acting in advisory to the Select Board. But there are, much of the decision-making for the hard decisions will come to the Select Board, involving rate schedules and the process for granting allocation, who owns the allocation, how long that allocation is good for. There's a lot of different details outlined in the ordinance that are, going to be very important as we roll out the system and get people hooked up immediately, or in the first couple of years. And there's also, Robin, you sent 2 memos to the Select Board, correct? And then a 3rd memo regarding some of the capacity issues just to Josh and York and I to mull over. Is that correct?
I thought they all went to the Select Board.
Well, one of them was addressed to the 3 of us, but they were all attached to the email.
Yeah, they're all attached to the
so
email.
yes.
It was just like...
I was just
Yeah, okay.
thinking through. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
So 17 years ago, I sat with the Select Board introducing the water ordinance. And that was in 2009, 2.5 years before we actually finished the water project. One of the reasons it was important to get the ordinance there was because the users who were signing on to the system wanted to know the rules. They wanted to know what is the water system. So I took the initiative to run with the wastewater ordinance. And the first step was to read 37 Vermont ordinances, and they're pretty much the same. And then I was lucky enough to go on an ordnance training, which the state had put together for direct discharge. Ours is an indirect system, but most of it's still applicable. Direct discharge tends to be bigger operations with more stuff going as inputs into the system. But what I learned was think long term, avoid oil and grease in your wastewater system. Leaks and uncontrolled inputs reduce capacity and increase costs. Ensure capacity allocations are used on a timely basis. There was one town that couldn't get their allocations back and they'd never been used. So it tied up an amount of the wastewater system. And so when I started writing the ordinance, the first draft, it was really based on the following, that the ETT, the Wastewater Task Force, was leading the effort to build the system, and they were allocating the priority allocations. So that was the floodplains and 40-year-old systems, well overlaps, and one other, river corridor. The Select Board was responsible for how the wastewater was going to be allocated after that. The Water Commission was going to become the Water and Wastewater Commission, responsible for operating both the community water and wastewater system. And that we'd had to have provisions in the ordinance for managing inputs on water leaks, infiltration, and grease inputs. Provisions for managing allocation applications. So this is the operation, not who gets them, but the process for them. And a methodology that aligned the current water billing with the wastewater billing on a single bill. And A&R made this really difficult for us because water is 245 gallons per ERU, wastewater is 210 gallons per ERU. And so we had to have a way of bringing the whole thing together. So the documents, I'm just going to take them in order, and I sent you a document on capacity allocation. this is really important because we think we've got 89,999 gallons of capacity. I believe that we had substantially more than that. And what we found was a 1991 document in writing from A&R that said after 4 years of data or before, we could use any unused capacity. And what that means is we are allocating 76,000 gallons of capacity to a residence each year. But we know from the water system they're only using 38 to 40,000 gallons. So in theory, we could allocate 2 houses for 1 house because of the amount they're using. It's not quite as straightforward as that because it's maximum usage on any given day. But I think you could easily get 25-30% more capacity out of the system without building any more. And by the way, 20 to 30,000 percent is $100,000 a year. So it's quite significant in how we go about. So that was the first document on capacity allocation. York would like to have a conversation with A&R. I'm of the different view. We've got the document. I sent an email to A&R asking if my calculations were correct on a sample. They agreed they were correct. So I think we have a fairly strong hand moving forward on that. Second thing was the billing methodology. So Brian asked me to do an exercise to see from the priority connections how many of them were commercial and how many of them were residential. The majority of them were commercial. And so one of the focuses I had in the ordinance was to put my thumb on housing. And one of the things that is very unfair in the A&R rules is that if you have a house, you're 210 gallons. If you have a 2-bedroom apartment, you're 280 gallons. Why should a 2-bedroom apartment pay more than a house? Doesn't seem fair. An ADU would be 140 gallons, 2/3 of a house. Again, not fair. So what I've done in the ordinance is sort of said, okay, we've got a measurement for housing, and an ADU would be half a house. A 2-bedroom apartment would be 3/4 of a house. A 3-bedroom apartment would be a house. So what this does is it reduces the cost to the smaller units for wastewater and for water. So this would be implemented identically across both. Commercial would always be, as per the A&R guidelines, whatever the gallon per day was. And the other slight twist in this is if you have a short-term rental, you would be a commercial property, not a house.
I was going to ask.
And I've been working with JB on this because they're doing a short-term rental, is it an ordinance or a?
Ordinance.
Yeah, an ordinance, okay. So the next part of it is what can we charge? What should we charge? Well, given the debt service and given the operational costs, we'd love to charge as much as we could. There's a requirement from USDA to charge 2% of MHI, which is
Median household income.
median household income. So we need to charge no more than $950, $948 per house for wastewater. When JB goes out and gets the easement signed, he's going to be asked, what's the cost of my wastewater? So I think it's quite important that we make that decision fairly quickly and give the town staff the tools to get these easements signed, get the customers on board, etc.
And just for clarity, 948 maximum amount per year,
Per year.
right? Not per month. Don't
Per year.
panic.
Yeah. You know, we've been reducing the water rates consistently from day one. We have a lot of water. This is not going to be the case with the wastewater. We have a very limited amount, and our costs will go up every year through inflation. But it's interesting that one of the things we can do is think really carefully about how we manage the system. I've been working with SOS. We've got quotes from SOS. They're already coming in below the operating costs that the engineers have indicated. So, you know, I think the Commission's job is to keep our costs down as low as possible. Because the less we pay on operation costs, the more there is for debt service.
Yeah, I think the water for one ERU went from, I think, 840 to currently 570.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And given what's going on at the moment, I think we'll see a further decrease in the next 18 months as we get some of the new customers on board. Okay. So there's a couple of... so most ordinances in Vermont are the same. There's a couple of differences in ours. And there's a whole section on capacity allocation. I fast-tracked that. So some ordinance give allocation 4 years, and then you can get an extension, then you can get another extension. We want people to do projects today. That was the message I was getting from everybody. So the ordinance allows for a 2-year allocation, 2 potential 1-year extensions, and after that, you give it back to the town. Okay? There's another provision in the ordinance that if you don't use all the allocation that you've been given, the town can take back what you're not using. Good example is I'm going to build 8 one-bedroom apartments. I build 4. You know, we don't want that other 4 to be sitting out there not being used. And if you don't do anything, then the allocation comes back to the town. Now the other side to that is the town owns all the capacity of the system, apart from the capacity that's allocated. And once you get a permanent allocation, you're responsible for paying the debt service and the fees. But up until that point, the town is responsible for that allocation. Okay? It's going to take, I'm going to guess, 5 years, 6 years to get to full capacity.
Yes.
Easily.
Easily.
Okay? So the town
That would be
is...
best case scenario, I'd say.
What people have got to understand is the town is banking that capacity to achieve the town goals over the next 6, 10 years. It's not going to be a fast ramp up. Yet we're still going to have the debt service, we're still going to have the operational costs of it. Although as we ramp up, our operational costs will ramp up with it. So if you're not putting a lot of inputs into the system, you don't have to clean the tanks as often. You know, things like that. But you still have an operator doing the full job. And we still have to pay that operator. So it's going to be a challenging, financially challenging for the first X years, 6 years, 7 years. It was with the water system as well. You know, we started at 200 ERUs. We're at 370 now. You know, it's been a long time to build up to that level. So that's that.
One other issue I think that it's important for the board to remember, Robin mentioned I asked him to do an analysis of the folks who have signed up, whether they're commercial or residential. And one of the reasons for that is the board will periodically be asked to set an allocation formula between different types of uses, between maybe commercial, institutional, residential. And this draft has a pretty aggressive split 85% residential, 15% commercial for the first 2-year period. That was acknowledging that it's heavily weighted towards residential. I felt as though this was sold to the voters as one of the most important reasons as a solution to our housing problem. And since it's so heavily weighted to commercial now, this would kind of restore more balance to it. That might be more, we might want to talk about that if that's the right number. The draft does establish that for a 2-year period, and then it gives the board the authority to, after a hearing, to change that allocation after a public hearing in the future.
Allocation formula.
The allocation formula, yeah. And I think from JB, when I've talked to him and most of his conversations with landowners, residential is the most kind of desired development that he's hearing about.
Yeah, and if you go back to the PER, the percentage was quite similar to the PER we put forward originally. I think that sort of gives a sort of flavour for what we're doing. The JB did read the ordinance. Didn't have any changes. I couldn't believe it. I guessed. Did he read it properly?
I think we have a lot of homework and a lot of things to chew on.
Yeah, we're not going to be voting tonight.
No. This is a work in progress. It's got to go through public comment.
Yeah.
At some point, there's got to be legal review.
Yeah.
But this is the style of this ordinance is very similar to Walcott and Londonderry, and Walcott had their bids opened on Friday, and Londonderry had their bids opened, I think 2 months ago.
A month ago.
Do you know how Wolcott turned out?
I don't know.
No,
Did
well,
you?
no, I didn't contact Peter yet. So this is there's a firm footing to the work in here, but there's lots of little bits and pieces that I think people will pick up on and ask questions about.
I mean, it's a remarkable, I just want to say that Robin spent at least an hour on it. And
Yeah.
probably more like 5,000 hours. But it's somewhere between an hour and 5,000 hours. I mean, the ordinance work, it's very strong, in my opinion, for a draft ordinance. It's remarkable, the amount of work you put in.
Yeah,
So-
Robin, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And I will say that the Water Commission that is currently Pete Reynolds, Peter Lazorchak, Bill Parker, myself, and Robin. We didn't write the ordinance, Robin did, but we are all accepting the responsibility to add this to the kind of the oversight of the Water Commission, but again, as an advisor to the select board.
Yeah, we're administrators.
Yeah.
And I put in there the power to delegate administration to town staff on smaller allocations and things.
Yep.
A lot of, I don't want to put him on the spot, he's not here, but the zoning administrator, as the kind of the gatekeeper for all new development, is often charged with making allocation decisions, or administering the allocation decisions at the site board meetings. So I don't think we're going to be seeing, every meeting having an allocation vote if we are comfortable with the formulas that we have in the processes and can do it administratively.
But to be clear, the concept is first come, first served.
Yes.
If you have a project, come and talk to us. The question York raised was, when do we start?
Well,
On
there's
those
a lot
projects.
of it's the elephant in the room it's the opposite of the water. The demand is going to be higher than the supply, and so how do we equitably let the community know that that may be first come first served, but how do we make that as equitable as possible so that we reach the town goals of housing, et cetera, et cetera.
We've got to get this ordinance in place this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we've got lots to read and homework to do. Are there specific next steps in terms of like timing that we're?
I'd like an answer on the charges.
Yeah, I mean,
try and get that
we're working on the
set.
cap. I think as we've talked about it, the group, JB and Josh York and
Yeah.
Robin and I met, it's either 900 or 948. 925 makes sense, you know,
Say no more than 925?
it's definitely no more than 948
Well,
Yeah.
as a, you know, funding requirement.
Which if you know, I want to have a little more homework on the average
Yes.
cost per annual, you know, what it costs a regular home to have a septic put in, and this may be below that. So, but I'd like to have that for JB or myself or whoever goes out to homeowners. When they say how much, we say, and the average cost, you know, with our best foot forward, you know, for a septic system replacement and pumping, et cetera, would be this much a year.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think it's looking like we might be below that.
Yes, very much so. So I guess I don't want to, we're not going to put it to a vote tonight.
No, I'm not
I think we
asking,
need to read
yeah.
and do the homework and have the full context,
Yeah.
but we will put this on an upcoming agenda again with a specific action item on the fee schedule.
I always thought the water project was big at about 4 times the budget of the town. This is 3 times larger.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
This
a
is-
huge project.
This is the largest wastewater project from beginning to end in Vermont for more than a couple decades.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a really big project, and it is considered, it was the #1 project in Vermont by USDA, and the state definitely acknowledges this is a very important project for workforce housing and everything else. I mean, this is huge, and
Yeah.
we are, the state is aware of how big a project this is.
So many people in Waitsfield want it.
Good?
When can the board members see the ordinance?
It's actually on the town website.
It's on the website.
If Robin sent it out.
If you go to the Water Commission, you'll see it. You'll see
I
it there.
haven't seen it. I haven't
Actually,
seen
did
it.
Robin, you sent it out?
It's a link,
Yeah.
because it was too large.
So let's make sure everybody has it.
Please.
Yeah, Robin, I think you sent it out on.
And that's part of the, I think it being, before it's really part of the select board saying yes, no, whatever, you know, real decisions are made, we can include it in the meeting packet and it will be, you know, more as transparent as possible.
I'm fine
So-
with a hyperlink as a reference in our packet,
Yeah,
but I need yeah.
yeah.
Trying to find something on the website isn't always that.
What?
And I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, I only finished it on Friday
Oh, okay.
and sent it out on Saturday morning.
so I haven't looked at it yet, so I think we'll make sure
I think
that
this
we've
was-
all got access to it, and I said we've got homework to do, and not to be a party pooper, but I'm looking at the time.
Yep.
And,
Good.
yeah.
And Fred, Robin sent it out to your GMABT account.
Okay.
Sorry, that's the one okay.
No,
No, we all have.
Yeah, I know,
we're all town gov now.
I'm
Sean.
still
Even
moving across there.
And Fred, I can send it to you. Anytime anyone wants to like ask questions, I know Josh is always available, I'm always available.
Well, if it's on the Gmail, I can grab it, but
Sorry, Fred.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, okay, explains it.
No, I still get a lot of stuff to my River account too.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, thanks both of you for all of the
Thank
effort.
you so much.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yes, quite.
we're on the cusp.
Woo.
There's a lot happening.
Yes.
Together,
Push off.
yeah, together we are, a lot of progress happening right now.
Thanks, Kelly.
Great.
I mean, everybody says that our team is exceptional. Like people from the States are like, your team has it together unlike almost any.
Go team.
And
That's true, that is what we've heard.
Yeah, and by having meetings with our engineer every 2 weeks, and the vast majority of the time, state folks sit in on at least parts of those meetings. I mean, we're able to make a lot of progress in a short period of time, so it's great.
Great.
Speaking of housing,
Aaron, you want to come up to the table?
Sure. And Ari, you just got to be part of so much important work.
thanks for hanging in there.
So, Aaron asked to be on the agenda and prepared a short summary of a conceptual proposal for a residential development project that is looking for some level of partnership with the town. And that memo was sent out by your Friday evening.
Yeah, so everyone should have seen it. If not, I think I made a couple copies, but I can make some more also.
And this
I'll
would be,
have copies downstairs.
this would be something that would
got it.
rely on the CHIP program, which is uncharted territory, but
For anyone.
for anyone, I know, that's exciting.
So Aaron, you want to kind of take it from the top?
Yeah, I'll go fairly quickly. There's a property that it's in the packet that I sent over that we've been talking with the landowner on right now, and it's very preliminary. We haven't even talked about a lot of the things, but the only way that if you've looked at the packet, I guess the easiest thing for me to do is just kind of talk about the overview. The plan would be to kind of do a small development at this location, and I have no idea what the size would be. It would be, we kind of limited it at 25 to 50 parcels. We were preliminarily thinking townhomes, and kind of trying to keep them all in that 350 to 400,000, probably closer to the higher number. But there's no way that the project works without any kind of support. There's quite a bit of work. So before I go too much farther down the road, I just was curious. I'm working on some stuff in Newport right now, and the city of Newport, I've kind of gotten involved with some of the things there on the CHIP funding, and we've had some discussions, and it seems like there's a lot of opportunity there to kind of solve some of our collective problems here regarding housing. So just kind of looking at what would be eligible for CHIP funding and kind of doing a project like this that's in that 25 to 50 home range. The first thing that I kind of talked about was ideally we would put in a town maintained road.
I'm sorry, Aaron, could you just summarize briefly the CHIP program, just to make sure everybody understands?
The CHIP program, I don't know what it stands for, but the long and the short of it is it's a loan from the state that defers payment based on tax income in the future on the housing expansion. That's that's my understanding of the simplicity.
Basically uses the property tax to pay it back, as opposed to putting that property tax into the state education fund.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And are you all familiar with the TIF?
No.
Tax increment financing. This is basically a small town version of a TIF, because TIFs are a lot for a small town to take on. This is intended for a town like Waitsfield to be able to say, we want to take advantage of what a TIF is, but it's too much. So this is like a smaller TIF.
And it's a much simpler lift as far as the submission goes.
TIF districts all require legislative approval on
Yeah.
a case-by-case basis, and this is pre-approved based on certain terms.
Yep. And the state is very anxious to get some of these things moving. So, like I said, there's been some pretty good conversations, and there can be some really interesting ways to kind of get it going. So all I really wanted to do was kind of just put some quick notes together on what we were thinking, and then just kind of see, with town support, it would be something that could happen. Without it, it's just, I'll move to the next, move on to my next fun, wacky idea.
And I'll just say, Aaron came to me with this and said, what if we could build 25 plus workforce housing where they cost $350,000-ish, which does not exist anywhere in the valley. What would that look like? Would that be something? And I said, all I know is the community, the state, and I think the select board has identified adequate, affordable workforce housing as something that's really important. And so if it's possible to build 30-ish, $350,000 to $400,000 homes, where people can still build wealth, because that's the way that these deed restrictions work, but where the town is saying, oh, we could take on a new public road if it means that we have 30 new affordable houses.
Workforce houses.
Yeah, and I call them adequate housing.
Yeah, you can call it whatever you want, just not affordable, because it's not what it is.
And then, you know, in terms of wastewater, we're taking on a big wastewater project. Could we, if the developer built a wastewater system, would the town be in the place to be able to say, okay, we're going to take over the wastewater system now the development's in and all the houses are filled, and, you know, in terms of billing and
So like the operations component, not the.
Yeah, and that seems reasonable.
Preliminarily, it looks like that's not
Preliminary, I
even,
can see
that's not even how, the route we would go down, just with some preliminary discussions with my engineer, so.
Okay.
But that's more where it becomes infrastructure that can be chip supported as far as, you know, the.
So you're not as looking at taking over the operations as you initially were?
No, I'm not. I don't know.
Okay.
Like I said, for me, there's so many unknowns right now. It's really just about, is this something that would be interesting? Because like I said, I've had a few of these conversations, and I just want to make sure I'm spending my resources in the best way. And like I said, it doesn't work without that at all. It can work with the right approval and the right approach, and especially with the town ownership of the road. And there's obviously, like, the lot is larger than the piece that would be going into that, so there is an offset with the rest of the land. But that's, you know, that's on the other side of that for me, to try and make it all work.
And is the town a co-applicant or an applicant for
The
this?
town would have to apply. We can't, the chip has to be done by the town. I can do all the paperwork for
Yeah.
it. I can do the heavy lift, that's no problem. But it would have to be submitted on behalf of the town.
You feel comfortable that you can build houses in that price range?
Yeah.
With chip help.
Yeah. Yeah, without it, no. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, right now the home, like what I've preliminary just kind of, done some budget stuff on, but again, like really preliminary is, I'm trying to find this, I have drawings. So to give you an idea of like the size. I mean, this is what I've got right now. Like I said, this is it's gonna change a little bit. We do everything custom, but this is what I based it on. So each one is, let me find the square footages. I want to say they're around 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom.
And how similar is that to the new properties on the north side of town?
They're the same size almost. These would be townhomes, so they'd be, I mean, again, this is all totally in my brain right now, but like I'm leaning towards like banks of 5 townhomes per unit, and then each one would have its own kind of utility base, you know, kind of like a sub HOA and an HOA, depending on what the ownership structure looked like. Yeah, we've kind of gone through a lot of this. There's a lot of things that go into it when you start thinking about like the deed restrictions and all that. We've got a lot of it figured out, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just breathe for a minute, and I'm gonna find it because I have it right here. I just need to stop thinking about the fact that I'm holding up your time.
Yeah. While you're doing that, do you know if the CHIP program is providing kind of buying down the interest rate on like a long-term loan from the state, or is it actually contributing principal and interest?
Jay is the one that's taking most.
Yeah,
of
the
this.
interest rates are all bought down through the state. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like, I wish I could get it like crazy low. I want to say it was, I'm going totally off of memory at an unrelated discussion in Newport, and I want to say it was like 2% or 3%.
So just like currently unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that makes sense. The state's
I want to say it was,
loans are, it's like a 2%
I want to say it was 1.8 is the number that, but again, I'm
Okay.
like, don't quote me, or you can, I don't care, I'll just.
So
I was gonna say Lisa's on,
the
so.
Yeah.
reason I ask is because the way you would be able to control the costs would be through long-term, really low interest rate financing from
Yeah,
the state.
yeah, for sure.
Subsidized by
So
the property.
each one of these
tax
is
getting
16.
rerouted on the
Yes,
education fund.
yeah. And they're 1658 is the square footage on them, the 3-bedroom.
Very interesting.
Would they have, and is that the best way forward? Like if you found that in your development work in the past, that you just make 3-bedroom, or is there a place to be like, let's make some 2-bedrooms or 1?
There's a place to do anything. I mean, we could do mixed where
There's such a need.
where we get rid of one 5-unit and put in an apartment complex. I mean, there's a lot of options. It's completely flexible. We can do all of those. That's right now we're pricing up apartment buildings in Newport, and that's exactly what we're doing there. They're doing some really interesting things there for it too. They're actually working just with offsite construction partners, and they put together like a nonprofit called Built by Newport, and they have like all these local contractors who are working together. So they're kind of like almost treating us like a dealer. We come in, we give them a sealed building, and then the local contractors are coming in and doing it at a more competitive rate. They can donate time and money to the nonprofit. It was kind of an interesting concept that they have, and it drove the price per square foot down drastically. But we should have drawings from them in the next 2 or 3 weeks to kind of see where they ended up. But the answer is we could do. A square foot's a square foot. The only thing is when you add more units, you add bathrooms and you add kitchens and those things. But it's pretty open to what we can do with it. Again, this was like just really preliminary, and we'd be open to having a discussion about what we want. We would certainly take input.
I mean, there's a lot of work that's been done. I mean, the planning district started it and then someone took it, but like, what's the housing need in the valley? And that's been a few years, which means it might be outdated by now. But I know I talked to someone that rents out rooms, and if they have a 1-bedroom apartment, there's a list 7 miles long.
Yeah, the 1-bedrooms are over half of the state's rental needs, and it's like, a very low supply outside of. Anyway, yeah.
But what I'm hearing is there may be, like, this is preliminary. When we get down in the nitty gritty, there's going to be some room.
I'm trying to.
What do we need?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is if you want to sell, I don't know what that number is, but a bunch of 1-bedroom apartments, you could put all 1-bedroom apartments there. It doesn't, to me, there's some sweet spot where it's balanced. I want to make sure that it matches the community. It's not an eyesore. So, putting in a bunch of apartment buildings, but I will tell you, through Signature, they just did 20-something workforce housing units on Nantucket that they barged out, all the BARTs out there, and they look exactly like all the homes in Nantucket. It's the cedar, they look identical, and I think I've sent you a link to that. If I haven't, I can send it to you.
A while ago,
Yeah,
amazing.
but they look identical to, there's a lot of flexibility. It's just, and I have it, the way I have everything priced out in my preliminary look is we have some fairly higher standards of build than just builder grade. So the prices that I've looked at work with like hard stone countertops and that kind of thing. It's not, there's no, corners cut.
Is the CHIP application project specific? Like
Yes.
the town has to apply, but it's for a specific
Yeah.
project.
The town doesn't have to, a developer can apply. It can be a private, it doesn't have
Really?
to, the town, yeah.
Okay.
Then I guess there'd have to be some kind of, we'd have to get a piece of paper of approval then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would not want to get ahead of our DRB or the
Yeah.
the environmental regulators to know what we're, supporting. But I'm
A really big piece of this too is that it enables some of the front end heavy lift costs you can get, like for example pre-construction, when you're spending a bunch of money on engineering and things like that. It really helps carry the front end of the project so that you're not going deep for your professional services.
yeah.
That's like I said, that's kind of part of the just getting to the point where it's like, okay, let's see what the conversation is.
Is there, maybe it's too early to know with the CHIP program, but is it kind of one and done per town, or
No.
can you apply for?
No, you can apply for a bunch. I mean, I think like I said, I think Newport has like 3 or 4 that they're, but the conversations that we've had have been very flexible and like just communicate with us so we know when the projects are coming. You know, it seems like it's kind of just making sure that the fund is funded.
We met with Josh and JB and Aaron, actually was helpful, and talked about Irisville opportunities for CHIP, which would not preclude this, or vice versa.
And it feels like a decade
The
ago.
idea is let's just do a scattergun approach if we can, where we know that there's housing opportunities and there's housing projects that are very real.
Yeah, just throw as much as you can at the wall. I will say, like, it seems like there's a very, very strong interest from the state to kind of get things moving. They're looking to get some of these things to the finish line.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like to me, it's kind of just, everything seemed, I mean, I'm sure it's not, but everything seemed pretty smooth, and it seemed like there was a lot of interest from the state to do it.
And they want some successes. They want to show the CHIP program is going to work, and I would like to be at the front end of that.
I think there's a lot of communities that are kind of in a similar place where they're putting things together and figuring out what it looks like, and then all of a sudden they're going to regret what they asked for, and they're going to end up with, holy crap, now we need 20 more reviewers.
That's right. And it would be better if we're 1 day ahead of those.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we can make paper move fast, that's for sure. It's just a matter of, I mean, I've talked through this a bit with you, York, and this was just kind of a preliminary. I need to have conversations with the guy who owns the parcel still. I mean, he knows, like, we've talked. I'm not like acting, you know, we've had conversations. It's just a matter of kind of making sure that it works for everybody, and you know, preliminarily, like I said, like, the cost of construction's high, and in Vermont, the cost of the infrastructure per parcel is just killer. You know, you're spending over $100,000 before you even move the first brick, and that doesn't even include your land.
So what's your, I mean, I guess I look to the board is I think this is probably the best we can do. Is there a willingness to continue this conversation to see if a partnership is possible, makes sense for all parties?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
I mean, the town has been loath to take over roads historically.
I know.
But in this case,
But I'm not doing it without
there's such a clear public benefit.
Yeah.
As long as the parameters are in place for affordability, not affordable housing, but workforce affordability.
Yeah, and
Things like that.
I've kind of like based everything. I always go to the VHFA to just kind of see where like the mean is and all that stuff, and you know, it's the median in it would be within 120 AMI at 422 in the valley, which is about right for here. We're about 120 AMI compared to, because it's all based on Washington County, so we're kind of on that edge. But like I said, it's just kind of, that's for a 3-bedroom. But yeah, there's a lot of moving different things that we can change, because there's a different rate for a 2-bedroom than there is for a 3-bedroom and all that. But I don't think that we have any problems hitting the state numbers for.
Is that a requirement of the CHIP program that we hit a state?
No.
Well, they do have,
concern
from what I
for me.
understand, the benefit, we retain a certain percentage of the state education tax is based, the amount of that, what we retain is based on some level of affordability, but I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I think it's like, I have to, it's a great question. The real answer, I should give you the real answer,
Yeah.
which is I'll have to dig into that and get back to you.
But it's designed, as I understand it, not to be limited to, you know, the Section 8 type of affordable housing at X percentage. It's intended for workforce housing.
I think it's a point system, if I'm remembering correctly, where affordability gives you additional points, which can get you a higher reward.
Yeah.
Where, like, say that you submit I'm going to use random numbers, say you submit $1 million, and they based on your affordability, they give you 75% of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Or
so
it's kind of a
specifically where
sliding
I'm
scale.
going is wanting to avoid the scenario where we sign up for the chip in partnership with you somehow. We do the road, we do all the stuff, and geez, I didn't quite get to 350, 400, it's 600. And then that defeats the purpose.
No, there'd have to be a contract in place for that. I mean, I
I'm not trying to be critical, I'm just saying.
Please, I love it.
Aaron, when do you think something like, when would the time frame be for like when we, like what would need to be in place before we get to the point where like, oh, we know we can build these houses for 400,000, we can make an ironclad document between the developer and the town and Chip and.
I mean,
just so we have an understanding of what we're talking about.
I don't really have a phenomenal answer for that because I don't really know because I'm thinking about it as you ask it, and I don't want to get the cart before the horse because there's this like, okay, do we get the submittal in for Chip saying this is what, but you kind of need the design to figure out what you're really asking for. And I think that it's based on like estimates and all that stuff, and I can get it pretty close. I've gone through that. I'll have a conversation with Mark. That's who Brian and York met with. He's my partner on the business side. He's very knowledgeable on this stuff. So he's kind of like the other piece of my brain on that. So I ask him all my Chip stuff, but I'll figure that out and I'll submit a timeline. This was just kind of a temperature feel. Like I said, I want to know how serious, because I know that we can hit the numbers where they need to go. To be honest, it actually gets more flexible when we get into if we went smaller and did some apartments, it becomes a little bit of a, the bathrooms go up, but the units get smaller. So there is an ability to balance out some of the cost.
Where in the site are you thinking of? I'm looking at
there's about 12 acres. If you kind of take this line and go straight across, it's about 12 acres, and that's kind of what the plan is. There's a creek and there's some wetlands in here. Right now, the existing house is here. The plan would be to kind of cut that off and sell it as a part of a subdivision to counter some of the cost that we're looking at for the whole parcel. And then there's, through here, there's, some really nice land there. It's a little elevated. There's some very mature hemlocks that have been getting harvested. So I really don't even know what we'll see by the time we get in there. But this is kind of the plan. I mean, what I've kind of like, and now I'm going to be talking too much, but the concept that I really like in the cluster housing and like the downtown cores is, you put in kind of a range of housing in the same area, and it just kind of gets a little more expensive the farther you get from the road. And that's kind of what I had talked about with York was, maybe there's in the middle, there's a single family home set up with like a modest, same kind of sizing as the townhomes, but maybe they're sitting on a 1 acre parcel. And then, as you go up to the top, it can get a little more expensive. But that's the model. Again, it's all based on, I've had my engineer just did like really, like the environmental guy did a quick and cursory on it. So, if I've learned anything here, it's, you can spend 10 grand on an environmental assessment and then find out that there's a vernal pool on a property that you're getting ready to buy, which happened to me in Warren. But yeah, there's just a lot of moving parts. So I kind of got to wrap my brain around it a little bit, and then I'll send something back. Like I said, this was just a preliminary. I don't want to put any effort in and no disrespect to anybody, but like I don't want to go too far down the path if there's not a lot of interest.
No, I actually appreciate that, and I think we'd like to continue the conversation.
Okay. Well, I'll follow up with an email and just kind of, like I said, I just kind of wanted to send some just quick notes so you guys kind of knew where we were at and what the interest level was be. And like I said, I don't know originally when I talked, it was about building like a package plant or something like that for wastewater, and potentially having the town operate it. Talking to my engineer, I don't know if that's
not common in Vermont.
That's what so I used to sell package plants. So for me, it's kind of interesting to be like, but I could just, he's like, we don't have those approved here. So I'd have to like get it approved. And my engineer's like, maybe some like group septic systems would be cool. But yeah, the land's really, it perks great. So it's not a huge issue. And we're trying to do kind of like clustered and then keep a bunch of green space. So there's plenty of.
I think that makes it less complicated for us.
Yeah, it's not a lot. There shouldn't be a lot of issue. Yeah, it should be. Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. Roads really well.
We do roads very well. I think this was clear.
Yeah. And so you're doing something similar in Newport right now?
Yes.
Is that further along in the pipeline then?
Yes.
Okay, so we could like go check it out later.
Yeah, they they have that whole EB5 like pit in town. So
You don't want to develop that?
well, that's what we're looking at. That's part of the project, but it's like a second or third phase because they actually don't own that land.
Yeah.
So they're looking at procuring that land.
Okay.
And then that's a really unique situation. But they've been really the city of Newport's they've been pretty knowledgeable and pretty progressive with the way they're approaching it. They just got a $3 million award that I sent over for some of their infrastructure expansion.
So you'll follow up with what you see as next steps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's no problem.
Great, cool.
Very good.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, appreciate your time.
So let's move on to.
I saw that. Thank you very much, and apologies not required. Thank you.
Have a good night, Alan.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Rob.
So we changed Article 5 to include the Pines picnic area. About 2 weeks ago, somebody brought to my attention that V-Trans was pulling all the picnic tables, all those big concrete picnic tables out of the Pines, and I didn't know what, and then a sign appeared, a signpost without a sign, and it turns out that Stewart MRV had worked with V-Trans to clean up the site. I asked York about it, and it turns out that they developed a proposal. Actually, York, why don't you explain that? So I got to tell you, I was a little bit concerned that this was all happening, that might have had an expectation that the town would play a role in maintenance or development without our having been involved in the conversations leading up to that, and expressed the concern about that.
And I don't know if I've heard of Stewart MRV before.
So Stewart MRV started around COVID. They do the porta potties in the village marketplace. There's porta potties there. They do
The swim hole.
Remember, we pay them about $14,000. Warren and Faiston do as well.
Okay.
Eric Freeman in the chamber, they met with us a couple times, but as part of the budget process, where they do all of the trash removal, porta potty management, and they actually do it down at Kelly's and Pearson's property too. LaRue Swim Hole and some of the other public
Heavy
use areas.
It's, partially started because the Pines actually in Blueberry Lake, but there's stewards for each. Like people take on a park and they take care of the garbage, and et cetera. It's a great program. It's amazing. It's really so successful. So real quickly, Stewart MRV is headed up by Tom Spencer. Tom Spencer is the one that puts out the travel. What's the catalog that you can find all over the place that talks about the Mad River Valley, what we have to offer. There's advertisements in there. It's called Four Seasons. The book. At any rate, he heads it up. It's one of his pet projects has been to get rid of those concrete picnic tables, and he's been doing it quietly. V-Trans agreed to it. They're gone. Our road crew actually helped them do this, actually get rid of them. There's still some work that needs to be done. There's a couple really dead pine trees. There's some parking lot work. V-Trans has assured Stewart MRV and Josh Rogers, a road foreman, that they were going to still take that work on. Separately, 3 different people, Josh Rogers it turned out, and then my last conversation with Charlie Goodman was about this also. that right now there's volunteers that mow it, even though everything points to that the state owns the property, but they don't really do anything with the property. So the question is, Stewart MRV is trying to take this on. They have a grant to buy 3 new picnic tables, one that's ADA accessible, buy a couple grills, and take this on more as a Stewart project instead of a V-Trans owned park. They looking to buy those picnic tables. They may have actually already purchased them. Josh Rogers was like, why don't we just start mowing it? We have the capabilities, the capacity to do it. Charlie Goodman and I were talking, we're like, I think our road crew can take this on if Josh is okay with it. And it turned out you already said that our road department can take on that mowing job. Stewart MRV kind of floats under the radar. And I've been in contact with Tom Spencer saying, I think if we work together, the outcomes is going to be better. We're going to have a better final park. And so we met and came up with some ideas of what that might look like. Josh Rogers has said he's put gravel there before for the parking lot because the parking lot has issues. The sign, just to reference the sign, is the path. Those are the ones the Mad River Valley Planning District used to do, the big kiosks, which are all around. The Mad River Path took that over. And that is going to be another kiosk, similar to the others, so they all look similar. The question is, and I'm glad Brian said, this needs to be select board. This is, we're still not 100% sure if Vermont, the state definitely owns it, but we're pretty sure. We're ready once the select board, if you'd like to move forward in working with the state and working with Stewart MRV as being partners and moving this forward so the Pines can be what the community expects. And that would be from from the town standpoint, taking on the mowing, which Josh said they can easily take care of. We're hoping, again, that the state finishes the parking lot, cuts down the dead trees. Tom Spencer and Stewart MRV would like to do a volunteer day where people go and fix up the property, et cetera, et cetera. Part of that is we technically have in the budget for parks some money for this year. Ed Reed has quoted dirt and work to fill in the voids because there's a lot of work that needs to take place there, especially after moving those huge picnic tables that have been there, I think maybe about 60 years.
Oh, wow.
And also, we, the collective we, would like an ADA accessible picnic table. And these are really nice picnic tables that they're looking at buying. They're several thousand a piece. But one will have the space for a wheelchair, etc. And so part of the quote from Ed Reed is also doing stay mat with landscape timbers that will go to a 12 by 12 stay mat spot where the picnic table would be. That would be the closest picnic table to the parking lot. His quote right now, and this is the high end because we think volunteers will do a lot of it, are 1,500 times 2. So 1,500 basically for the dirt and 1,500 for the ADA. Trail and 12 by 12 foot spot for the picnic table.
We have $5,000 in our budget for maintenance of parks that I don't think we've spent.
We have 6, I think, do we have 6,000?
We went to 5 this year.
For 2026 we did?
Oh no, 2026 we had 6.
Yeah, so if we, I think if you guys would like to agree to that 3,000, if you would like to, and that would, with the chamber's grant, and then have 2 grills, 3 picnic tables, which we wouldn't do the work until the trees were cut down by V-Trans, because that would mess up the property also. But if we pay Ed Reed to do that work, then that could be the 2026 fiscal year, which I think would make a lot of sense.
Do we know when V-Trans might get to that?
We don't know.
Yeah. Do we need to wait for them?
Yeah.
Like, could we cut down the trees, or is it their property and they have to do it?
No, V-Trans has never said no to us taking a job from them. So I can't speak for them, but my short time here has said that they would gladly accept any offer we have to take away. I mean, we know they have a reduced budget.
Yeah,
so.
no, I'm just saying it would be a bummer if we want to do this in time for kind of the summer picnic season.
Yeah, sure.
And V-Trans doesn't show up until November. We kind of miss the window.
Yeah.
what do you, so, I mean, I'm happy to reach out to V-Trans again and be like, we really need to share your timeline, because we're ready to get this park and bring it up to what the community deserves.
Yeah, I think it's worth trying that and see what response we get. If they say, yeah, we'll be there next week, awesome. Say no
We
more.
gotta get a-
If not, we'll take care of
Get a
it.
quote from a tree.
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
I think there's 2 trees maybe that are dead
And
there.
I walked there and there's 2 that are 100% dead, whether there's other ones, I don't know, but the clear, there's 2.
Yeah, they're reasonably large.
Yeah,
Dead
they're not
and
huge pine trees,
horizontal or
but
dead and
vertical.
still vertical? Okay.
yeah. Yeah, that work
Are
needs
they-
to be done before we throw dirt down
Are
and
they
grass.
dead or just in very poor shape?
Oh, they're dead.
They're totally dead.
So it's dangerous to cut them?
Probably.
Okay.
Yep. Now, we have a benefit. The head person for V-Trans that did the picnic tables, that Josh knows well, lives in Facein. And so Josh is in talks with him.
Cool.
Rogers.
Rogers, okay.
Yep.
Just making sure.
The road crew assisted V-Trans in getting, because there were like 47.
I'm just pretty sure that Josh Schwartz has also done a lot
I
of
know.
work on that, so.
Well, Josh Schwartz, the last couple of years, has been the person that has mowed the pines.
Got it.
So you are right.
Okay.
So any thoughts on moving forward?
I'm all in favor of it. I just
Yeah.
wish it had come before us earlier in the process, so we're not hearing about it after
Well,
it's been moved along so far.
Well, I was sort of curious what that framework was there and everything, and
Uh-huh.
it's like, what's going on?
you were not the only one.
So I asked Doug Kenyon.
Did he not?
No. So I called up Misha, because I figured he had something to do with it.
You don't say.
Bullseye. The ownership of that property is interesting.
It is.
Everything online says it's the state, but that doesn't really mean anything. We cannot find the book and page. Josh Schwartz spent about 3 hours looking in our vault, and we cannot find.
Well, I guess at
any
different
clarity.
times, Doug Kenyon and Paul Hartshorn have claimed it to be that.
That's correct.
Oh, Don Spalding claimed it to be his. That's who Paul said it was.
And Paul was going to go in there one day and cut all the trees down.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that was just to get people upset.
Then we should rename it from the Pines.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would. So yes, and part of what I just want to say, like part of what I've tried to do since moving here as the fire department, Misha with the path, Stewart MRV, is to say, please include us earlier, because teamwork makes the dream work. We're going to have a better outcome if we bring in the appropriate stakeholders. And I hope that we're making headway with that culture shift.
Those
Yeah.
pines are very mature.
Yeah.
And with time, more of those are going to be leaving us. So with time, we may have to come up with a plan of replacement.
Well, York had suggested an MOU, and if the V-Trans accepts responsibility, I would hope that they would be able to do the maintenance after these first 2, which we might be able to do to jumpstart the project.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that many people picnicking there. I don't think
Nor
it's the most
have
comfortable.
I.
But it's a very popular parking area.
Yeah.
And I have seen people there. I mean,
I've seen people, of course, those cement tables
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
wasn't really conducive to it.
Yeah, there.
Not super inviting.
Yeah,
A lot of people either put in or take out of the river there too.
Right.
So
they do, and snowmobilers park there and jump on the Bass Trail in the wintertime.
yeah.
So, no, I think it's used.
And
Yeah,
it's a
it's
parking
definitely
ride. I
used.
used to, when I was carpooling with folks, I'd often meet them and
Oh, really?
park there. Yeah.
I think with the new tables, especially if there's new grills, I'm a huge griller. Like I would go there if there were grills. I think there's a lot of potential that it's going to see a big.
Oh, I'd love to see that fixed up.
Yeah.
And I love pine trees. I think it's a lovely spot.
So are we okay with Ed Reed's proposal to do site work?
So that would be $3,000 out of the $6,000 budget for the fiscal year that's ending very, very soon.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about the end of the fiscal year soon too.
And so this is not in the warrant. And we'll talk about another meeting.
Yeah.
Because Steve Lewis, our treasurer, is like, we will have another warrant, even though our next meeting is July 13th. He's like, it's the end of the fiscal year. It happened last year. It's going to happen. There's bills that have to be paid in this fiscal year.
So I was going to see if we might be able to have a quick meeting in the afternoon, either next Monday or Tuesday.
I can attend remotely.
That'd be fine.
I can
Monday.
remotely, because
Monday better for me
Monday's better.
personally, but.
That might be better for Steve, because then he can cut checks on Tuesday, which is the 30th.
Yeah. So, yeah, that works for me. I'm just thinking back to this. Does it make sense to make a motion that would allow us to also cover the tree removal if required to kind of expedite the project for this summer? We could used to reach out to
I can-
contractors, all that stuff, if they're like, no, we're not
I have
getting
no
into
idea what
it.
the cost would be for that.
My bet is 2 trees would be the other $3,000. Knowing the size tree that I had took down for 1,000, but these might be more dangerous.
Well, I could, I think I
they're
could,
in the grouping, aren't they?
Yeah.
there are 2 in the middle. Yep.
Right, they're in the middle,
That's
so
gonna be
the
a
truck can't get there, so it may be a challenge for them.
Yeah, more ropes, maybe, or, I don't know. I think I can get clarity tomorrow from Josh Rogers. He can reach out to the V-Trans person, who I think he's in contact with, see if we're slated for recent soon. If not, I could probably get 2 quotes from 2 tree people tomorrow even.
Yeah.
And we
It
want to
feels like we're-
sequence that done before we do.
That's
every-
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's approve Ed's proposal today, and we'll know more about the trees for our brief meeting next week. The other reason we were thinking a quick meeting would be good, because for Town Garage, which you're soon going to hear an update on, we don't have a proposal to transfer the contract from Bread Loaf to a new company operated by some of the principals on the Bread Loaf team, but that seems to be the best course of action to go in. That, we'll know that hopefully by.
So we don't have today, but we might by next month.
I'm gonna give a quick update on the Town Garage, but the next meeting is 3 weeks from now.
That's the
And
other problem.
for the timeline, for the Town Garage, if we're gonna stick with our original timeline of going out to bond in November and building in 2027, if everything keeps moving forward, it would be good to move on the Town Garage next week instead of 3 weeks.
So a motion on $3,000 this year's budget to do site work and
So
improvements?
move.
Second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, that's
Did you
exciting.
have, I'm sorry, I should have said any discussion. Did you have a question or? No, okay. Good. So how much more about the Town Garage do you want to talk about?
But first.
I know, I'm going to.
Okay. I was gonna say.
I think I touch on maybe the procurement policy and just the architect.
Okay.
And that we can have forward momentum.
Well-
But we can wait till next week, honestly.
No,
if everyone wants to
I
wait.
just was looking at the timing to take a moment to acknowledge that Charlie Goodman died last week. And it's a huge loss to the community and to the road crew. He's been the road commissioner since 1987. He's gone above and beyond in that role as a volunteer to a remarkable extent. When I heard that he died in the following days, I was writing a resolution in my head for the select board, and then New York sent me one, a draft, and we didn't want to, we'd like to present that at the next meeting. We think that the town should do something really to honor and celebrate and thank him for all of his work. I don't know whether we should, if this is a cart before the horse, I'd like the resolution to mention that therefore be it resolved in the event the town builds a new town garage.
Yes.
It'd be the Charlie E. Goodman III Public Works Building, and I like to see the tagline, Goodman's Garage.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an awesome sign, that's all I
That'd be
know.
awesome. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a no-brainer.
Everybody, it seems like
That's-
no-brainer is what everybody says,
That-
so let's
yeah.
go ahead and do that.
And
Awesome.
I think it really meant something to Josh Rogers, who is a very good friend with Charlie.
Yeah.
And he's.
Yeah, they were more than just colleagues, they had a good relationship,
Yeah.
and it shows.
Yeah.
And just on that line, York and I sat down with Josh today for about 2 hours to cover striping and paving and just how we can help him fill the void that Charlie left, and that's impossible. We all agreed that, but if there are any, I let him know that if there's anything special that he needs help for, that Charlie would have done. Charlie handled the paving, for example, that let us know, and that we wanted to, you know, that we want to support the road crew in this time, because it's such a loss to them, and Josh in particular.
Yeah. Charlie was our first road commissioner.
Really?
Yeah, we had a road foreman or someone that headed up the crew, but Charlie was the first road commissioner that we had. And he was also the first person to submit a report for the town report on what was done on the roads in the preceding year. He was the first one to do that. Previously, there was no report on roads.
Well, I told, Josh has never attended a Waitsfield town meeting, and I told him that there was not a stronger defender and advocate for the road crew than Charlie Goodman.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So he was our first and only
That's
road
right.
commissioner.
I mean, if
That's
I,
right, yeah.
so someone on the select board kind of was a road commissioner.
That's right. So what happened was, they had a 5-member board, and each member would take up a certain duty. And Charlie was elected to the board, and he took up the duty of road commissioner. And he served for 2 years on the select board, and then he stepped down. Roy hadn't filled his place, and Charlie took over as our road commissioner.
And that was that.
And he
That's
was
his history.
road commissioner ever since.
Wow.
I would like to make the suggestion that we contact the governor's office. He'll
Yeah.
probably, for something as, someone that's done so much for a town as Charlie
That's
has,
a good idea.
I think the governor would do a proclamation,
Yeah.
which means WCAX would probably, and WPTZ will get wind of it, so they might send out a crew to interview people and spotlight Charlie. And I'm not 100% sure, but the governor might make a proclamation for us, to allow us to fly our flags at half-staff on the day of his interment.
Yeah, and I had worked up kind of a letter to send to the governor's office in coordination with whatever resolution the select board would pass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's great.
I know that, well, at least did, the governor has a staff person who has a duty of just doing resolutions and stuff like this. So I'd really like to get the governor.
I wonder if the timing is right to have it at half-staff next Saturday.
We aren't allowed to, technically, we aren't allowed to do it.
No, like to get the governor.
But if the governor made a proclamation, we could have flags at half-staff for that day.
That would, I mean,
I would love that.
on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll just say Charlie Goodman's going away party, which is what Charlie would like it, wanted it to be called, will be at Mount Ellen, I think 2 to 6 on Saturday. This Saturday, the 27th. Does that sound like
I think
Saturday?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can contact the governor. I think that's a good idea. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
I don't know whether he would do statewide or,
well, my guess, depends on how it,
yeah.
but if we asked, I think he would at least allow us to do it
In Waitsfield.
in Waitsfield.
Yeah. That would be great. And it doesn't have to be one day. It would be great to have it that day, though.
Yeah. Generally for someone other than a elected,
President.
yeah, it's a one-day thing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It feels like we're more likely to get a yes if we don't ask for statewide,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
ask for Waitsfield.
Yeah.
I don't think.
The road crew flew
If
there
he
to
had
half-staff
statewide,
anyway.
if he had done things statewide,
Yeah.
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 the governor would probably make it for
Right.
statewide, but since it was just in town, the governor, if we ask him,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to him.
Well, that would be Wade House Fire Department in this building, so that
Yeah.
has an impact.
yeah, and any other private flag within the town. So like the
That's
one
a
I
great
had.
idea. Can you, do you?
Yep, I can do that tomorrow. Yep.
And, okay. So, and then we'll get the resolution together by the next meeting.
Do you want it for next week even? Do we decide, we haven't decided on a meeting next week yet, I guess.
I
We've
think
decided
we're
that there
available,
needs
yes.
to be one,
Yes.
but I don't think we've
Let's-
decided on
Let's do
exactly
it for
when.
next week. That's-
Or do we want it for Saturday?
Do we have, all right, so could we have a motion to authorize the town administrator to draft a resolution with my approval? Because I want to
Yeah.
write another, with therefore be resolved.
And I sent Brian and Larissa the resolution as a draft, and Brian's like, oh, I have some things I'd like to add.
Yeah,
And so-
no, I totally trust you guys. Like, I don't feel we need to see it or have a meeting. You guys will be great.
It would be
Absolutely.
nice to let them know.
I feel like the timeliness of
Yeah.
trying to get that done by the time
Yeah.
he's having his going away party, I think that's more
Yes.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So a motion to approve the resolution.
I would so move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, what time would work for next Monday afternoon? I don't want to go real late. 4?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay. Is that good for you, George?
Yep. 4 PM.
And so the town, what we might have by then is a proposal from Mitch to fit, he has approval from Breadloaf to take all of the materials. So he would finish the public outreach materials, finalize the conceptual design and the price to take it to a bond. Then the question is, do we hire a construction management company to then take the project through construction? One of the estimator for Breadloaf now works for Rearch.
Yeah.
They would like the job, they're the folks who are doing Warren. We have gone back and forth about whether we should be talking to a couple of other companies, how it fits into our procurement process. So I don't think we have a path forward yet.
I mean,
Other than the idea of transferring the contract to Mitch to finish it up with amendments, right?
I feel comfortable with our procurement policy that, and actually in our procurement policy, architectural engineering services is one of them, that, you know, the select board, with select board approval, can be above our procurement policy. And also timeliness is part of the, you know, part of our procurement policy. So it's reasonable to say, Breadloaf closed their doors, we're kind of stuck, but we have this timeline we're working on for continuity of services with Mitch, who knows the project the best, who has a new firm. Even when we met with Rearch, they agreed, and they could have done they could take it over right now, but they agreed that Mitch, with the most hands-on from Breadloaf, would make sense. So I feel comfortable moving forward with them. With our procurement policy.
Can I just ask, is it Mitch personally, or is it Mitch as a new Rearch employee?
No, it's Mitch and another person, Michael, who have opened a new firm, who have the agreement in writing.
Okay, so it's not Mitch that's going to Rearch?
No.
Or Rearch?
No. So
Okay,
this
got
would-
it.
Fred
Thank you.
went to Rearch.
Thank you.
Fred, who's the person that does the
estimator.
estimation.
Thank you.
He did go to Rearch. So there probably is a path for us just to go with Rearch for continuity, because Fred is the other person that's done so much work on the project. I think we could make that argument, but it's a little more muddy, I think. What I would like maybe is to sit down with with Mitch and Michael, and then a couple other construction firms, and, you know, bat around the idea of finding the best team to move forward with the town garage for a 2027 build.
I mean, Breadloaf was never wasn't ever going to necessarily be part of that, right?
They anticipated that they would.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But that
Okay.
was not.
But that was not within the scope of
No,
their
that's correct.
deliverables.
No.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just thinking for a project of that scale, $5 million, I would prefer we get additional bids rather than just go with Rearch. I think they do great work from what I've seen, but still, that's a big commitment.
Yeah, and I don't think we'd issue an RFP. We don't, our timeline won't allow it, really. But I think there's a way, and I've had there's a couple other firms that like Do Construction is another one that's been thrown out, and there's another one, HB.
EF Wall.
Yeah, thank you. You know, to sit down and say, like, this is what the scope of work is, what would the bid be, because that's the other main piece that could hold up the timeline, that and the environmental phase 2 assessment.
Yeah.
Which we're
I
actively
think
working on.
could we go out to bid before the bond, then we'd have a pretty good.
My understanding is that bringing in a CM sooner than later is important. I don't, that's my understanding, and that to go out to bid would potentially push the project past a potential 2027. I mean, ideally, we would go out for bid, but is there a way
What's
that
the
we can
push to
talk to
bring
3
in a CM?
firms?
That would be a construction manager to handle the permitting or something, or what would be what role would they play pre-construction?
Yeah, all aspects of bid out all of the subs, do all the permitting, final design, final engineering, because there's been no.
Ordering
There's been no
materials.
civil engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That would be part of the architecture, is
Yeah.
the civil engineering. And it's, my understanding, it's approximately 6 to 8% of the total cost is what that would normally look like. So we have an idea of what it should cost anyway, which is part of the reason I feel pretty good moving forward with this new firm if the proposal looks like what we'd expect. And honestly, they think it's gonna look a little better than what we were expecting, which would be great.
Because the Breadloaf contract was a preliminary design, right, and cost estimate.
Yep.
So you're saying the construction manager would be responsible for final design and permitting and...
Well, this would be 2, like there'd be an architecture firm that would do civil engineering, et cetera, and then under Breadloaf, they were design build, and REARC does design build.
Yeah.
This would be different, this would be an architecture firm, and then the GM, CM would be ordering the materials, going out for bid, handling all of that part, if I
But
understand.
it would be the $5 million contract, so I think you do need to figure out how to get proposals without too time-consuming a proposal.
And I've been very clear with REARC and with the new architecture firm, the timeline's important, but also being responsible to taxpayers is super important, and make sure we follow an appropriate process so that we're fair.
So it sounds like Mitch is recommending the CM approach. Would we also have an option to just hire a design build firm to do like you take it from here? Have design build firms bid on the project based on the preliminary design.
That was REARC's proposal, not to bid on it, but to do it.
If we want to move quickly, but we could ask multiple firms to give us a price.
I
may
think
not
though
be a binding bid, but give us a price.
The folks from REARC said there really, in this case, isn't much difference between design build and CM. It's just one contractor too, and if Mitch is the design side of it, it's basically, rather than have that in-house for the design build, they're the CM, and we have a separate contract with the architecture and design.
And actually, REARC said they'd be happy to even, they all agreed, they're like, keeping Mitch on makes sense.
So he
and
would
we can-
potentially be the CM? I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch up.
He would be the A&E guy.
He'd be A&E,
And
separate CM, and the CM could be part of REARC or anybody else that bids on it.
And it could be do construction, whatever. But REARC said, they're like, honestly, if you want more of a design build, we could subcontract with Mitch and Michael. But they basically were like, it's really the same thing, and in their opinion, it makes more sense to keep that clean A&E and then find that other GM for a CM. Does that sound right? You have a GM that acts as the CM. I find it very confusing.
I don't know.
I'm not in construction. I'm looking at Chach because Chach knows construction.
I will say,
I'm asking all the questions.
Never saw this coming.
Yeah, well,
Brett Loaf, a
how could you?
50-year-old business.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
how could you?
I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
Yeah.
Well, and especially since it sounds like you guys are really happy. I mean, I wasn't present for any of the meetings, but it sounds like both communication and sort of the quality of what they were able to deliver was really great, so that's
Yeah.
At the end of
disappointing.
the last meeting, I said, we're really, really happy with the process.
Days later.
Oh, bummer.
And the other, I mentioned the environmental, KAS did our phase 1 environmental, we're paying them tonight in the warrant. Phase 2, they're gonna send us a proposal any day. That's the other most important part of the timeline, is getting that phase 2, because there's several things identified as questions that they need to go in and do more work. So that's coming.
Okay,
Yes.
Meadow Road Bridge.
I just wanted to really say, the RFP was released. I actually sent it to CBRPC. They've sent it to multiple engineering firms. I've sent it to multiple engineering firms. It's on VLCT website, it's on our website, it's been in the paper, the Valley Reporter. But in terms of the MBRC Timber for Transit, T4T, everyone in this room, Charlie Goodman was the most excited of anyone, by the way. Loves the idea of the covered bridge being back as the Meadow Road Bridge. We've had pretty good conversations with Marina, who runs the Timber for Transit program for NBRC, and she's brought in the state partners. They were a little skeptical because we got, wastewater was awarded a $1 million grant just last fall. However, when I laid it out in an email and said, this is the benefits, this is why this project might be different, their tune did change. Their email back was like, oh, that's interesting. Why don't you put in the letter of interest, do this and that? And so the letter of interest is almost done. It takes some time to get some costs down on paper, but we're moving forward, and I'm still, for us to get 2 NBRC grants would be remarkable, but everyone recognizes how awesome this would be.
If you're meeting with them and everything, I'd love to be
Yes.
included.
Yep.
Because
And I can even start. I'll start circling you into the emails, actually.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I'm just ecstatic about the idea of putting a covered bridge back there. I'm just like,
That would be-
I thought about it years ago, when that bridge, wouldn't it be nice to put a covered bridge in? But that, I just told myself that'd be totally impossible and everything. And then when this came around, it's like, wow.
Can you imagine
This is
driving
like
down Route 100?
And looking over there and seeing that covered bridge?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I did mention at the Rural Resource Commission meeting today that Waitsfield was considering trying to reestablish a covered bridge and that we were looking into that. So it's way down the line, but a piece of that may potentially qualify for a CLG grant.
Oh, wow.
Potentially.
CLG.
Certified Local Government.
Okay.
So the Rural Resource Commission is our valley's certified local government.
The National Park Service Historic Preservation Program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So they tend to do more, their sort of like top priority projects are more on the sort of research and pre-development projects, but they also have been known to fund some brick and mortar stuff. It's not huge, but if there is additional local buy-in that is needed.
I think there's going to be a lot of buy-in
Yeah.
needed to
I think
sell
there's going
this.
to be a little bit of skepticism too.
Yeah, for sure.
There is.
Well, I'm getting the barn painted, so when you look down at the covered bridge.
There you go.
My barn is going to be freshly painted.
There we go.
I can see the cover of Vermont Life magazine right now.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, I do have such a thing. I do.
I believe
That's
you.
why I brought it up.
The old covered bridge in my place was on.
Yeah.
And the covered
Vermont
bridge on
Life.
Jocelyn Hill was on,
Yeah.
not our current village covered bridge, but the one
Yeah.
on Jocelyn Hill was on the cover of
And your
Vermont
camp
Life.
was also featured once, right?
In the Vermont magazine, but yeah, my cabin and me.
I want to touch on
Covered
village
bridge,
covered
yes.
bridge.
See that.
The main reason that's there is
The supports.
there's when we tore the bridge up, just took up a few decks. Charlie Goodman and actually Kai Quaich
Yeah.
really identified what they consider the biggest emergency repair, and it's the first 3 joists on this side of the covered bridge. There's not
The west side?
adequate. Yes, the west side. Josh was skeptical that he could take that project on. Charlie's like, we're going to do our best to make sure, because it is identified, according to Charlie, and he felt very strongly about it. It's the biggest risk to the bridge, needing to be fixed. I'm going to talk to Josh tomorrow, see if it's something that he still thinks he can take on sooner than later. If not,
I asked Kai.
We were thinking about asking Kai if he'd be willing to take on the work. I don't think it's a huge job, it's really just adding posts to the middle of it.
Yeah, those 3 joists are over the concrete abutment, fortunately, so Goodman had suggested vertical posts to support, to hold them up and get those under there. And,
So it's not replacing the joints? It's-
That's right.
No, it's just reinforcing them.
Got it.
According to Charlie, it should have always been done, and they just, for some reason, weren't.
So
But it's
it's-
standard practice.
And,
Sorry.
and Kai was at the bridge inspection, he was crawling around under it.
So he'd know.
And I asked him, he initially told York it was probably too big a job for him, but when he found out that the runners wouldn't need to be fixed, he said, yeah, I might be interested. And seemed to be excited about it, so. I thought maybe we can see if we can get a quote, probably would be under our procurement policy
I think so.
guidelines for next Monday.
Yes, yep.
That-
So I'll talk to Josh and
Now,
then
the
I'll reach
meeting's
out to
getting bigger,
Kai.
isn't it?
But that can be even
It would
consent
be quick,
agenda.
it would be quick, I promise.
And that's that.
Okay, motion on the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I'd second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town administrator's report, anything to add?
I talked to Mary Jane and Spencer today, who are our assessors. Real quick, the state, sometime about a year ago, took over the assessments of utilities. That would include Waitsfield Telecom. Waitsfield Telecom's assessment was about $1 million last year. The state is now $8 million. The state reassessed the Waitsfield Telecom at.
For
You
the
remember-
property line, power lines.
Yeah, remember Green Mountain Power was last
Telecom.
year, and that kind of threw uncertainty into the budgeting process.
So the problem is that the policy change of the state taking over the assessment for utilities came before the process part. So my understanding is, and Mary Jane and Spencer are working very hard at understanding this, right now, the assessment is $8 million, period. They have officially put in agreements, which you do to the town, which, yes, makes no sense. The state has told the listers and the assessor's office that you deny it, period. You deny it, so
Deny
push
the
it to the
agreement.
state.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the state eventually, I guess, would look at it. We don't have a timeline on it. It could be any time this next year. The problem is we're about to set our tax rate within the next few weeks. A $1 million and an $8 million assessment is not pocket change. It is real money that would impact our budget. So, in terms of setting a tax, it's almost impossible. Because really, we need to set it assuming an $8 million assessment. There is a possibility that next January, it was Mary Jane's example, that what if they drop down to 2 million or 3 million or 1 million? Then that would heavily impact the town's revenue. And really, Mary Jane and Spencer just want to make sure that the select board is aware of where we are. If you have any thoughts, that'd be great.
So the Waitsfield Telecom has briefed
They
this
have
already.
officially grieved it, yeah.
And have
Our listers have not met
denied
yet.
it?
They have
Okay.
not met yet.
As they have been advised to do by the state, that in their
I would
wisdom
even
did
suspect
not-
if they didn't deny it,
Yeah.
the state would not accept it, I would assume, because the state has taken over the assessment.
And it's
Okay.
complicated that it's not clear whether that applies just to the lines or to the building and property.
Aye,
And the state won't share that information to let the listers know.
It is not open record, and even if we did a public records request, we wouldn't have it. And there's some confusion whether the buildings were included, and so Waitsfield Telecom is a little afraid that maybe there'll be double tax with buildings. Of course, we won't let that happen, but we need some more clarity from the state, and that is
That
proving
they are
very difficult.
refusing to give us. Cool.
And if anybody's dealt with Spencer, you know that he knows how to push hard, and he has not won this battle yet. So he is going to keep pushing, and maybe I'll have more information for you soon. But again, for us immediately, yes, maybe reach out to the state and be like, maybe you shouldn't put the cart before the horse.
That seems
But
to be our current theme
I know,
tonight.
tonight's big. But setting the tax rate is going to be more complicated this year because it's somewhere in the $150,000 to $200,000 range from
No.
1 to 8 million.
I will say, though, if we were to set the tax rate based on last year's assessment, thinking that it might be rolled back.
That's true.
That would not, I mean, we could do that in a way which would not show a significant increase.
That's true.
And then what would happen is our grand list would grow more than we thought, and we'd end up with another balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
One
know.
of the items we're waiting on from the listers, right, is our updated grand list as of June 30th, right? So we'll get that soon, presumably based on the old value, or we don't, I guess we can just
I
ask
mean,
what they include.
my understanding is they have to do the new value. And you set a tax rate to that value, and you're not supposed, Spencer's very clear, it's like you don't deviate from it. You're not like, oh, maybe this is gonna change. Like, we set a tax rate based on, right now, that $8 million. But this is not like a $50,000 difference. This is a real difference for our revenue potentially.
Yeah.
What is $7 million?
A lot of money.
140,000
No,
actually,
140.
maybe. I said 150 to 200, but I think I might be a little high.
Yeah.
Like the delta could be between 1 and 8, 7 million is a little less than 2% of our grand list. I think if our grand list is roughly 400 million,
That does sound about right.
1.75% or something.
Thanks.
Yeah, so it's a big deal.
That's a big swing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can
Because we
appreciate how
budget for
Waitsfield Telecom
0.3%.
uses.
Yeah.
So,
Waitsfield Telecom, I think, probably is not really happy. And
Oh, I imagine. You think?
Waitsfield Telecom has been very good to the town.
oh my gosh,
Still
yeah.
$140,000.
And the state.
Nice job.
Well, that was Mary Jane and Spencer and I had a good conversation today. I think that's, let me just,
What meeting are we setting the tax rate?
probably the 1st in July.
Really? Okay, so
Yeah, and that's okay. Sandy's totally okay
I
with it.
won't be there. But that's-
Okay, I was gonna say, he's not
We-
gonna be there, which means that I have to know what's going on.
We could probably push it to the next one, but Sandy, Steve, and I will meet
Okay.
and Mary Jane and come up with, I feel good about that. It's been a long meeting. It's
Yep.
good. If you have any questions, let me know.
Select board roundtable? Larissa?
I mentioned the Rural Resource Commission. Oh, there was an email, and I meant to mention earlier, the fire department, didn't Jared ask about racks for,
Oh, the electrical panel.
or the electrical panel, something like that, sorry, that was something that I,
Yeah, so the electrical panel, I did reach out to Facein, I haven't heard back, and I reached out to an electrician that I had already met with down there, and he's supposed to get us a quote, and, but yeah, I mean, the state fire marshal, everything agrees that that's, like, we want to not do things that don't need to be done, because we do probably expect to build a new fire department at some point in the future, but this is something that we should not wait on.
Yeah.
I have not heard
so
back from
there were
Facein.
2 items, there were emails
you.
exchanged
There was
from Jared Young. There were 2 items in this email, one of which was sort of deemed necessary repair, I think, of an electrical panel. And then the other one was as they are trying to change how they're responding to fires by having firefighters come to the station and not use their personal vehicles, come to the station and then all depart on a firefighter's, on the vehicle together. It means that they are donning and doffing PPE in a different way than they were before. And so there's a question of investing in racks for hanging their PPE so that they're able to do it quickly and effectively to the standards that are sort of for most
Required.
firefighters. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like a minute.
Yeah, it's really fast. And I also just like saying doffing. It's just a fun word. Donning and doffing. When do you get to say that? Not very often. No, it's only when I'm talking to firefighters. So that was just an email that was sent around that it occurred to me we hadn't addressed, and so I just wanted to put it out there. And so it sounds like we're waiting to hear back from Facein. And that
Facein and an electrician on like a quote. This is an electrician the town's worked with several times before, so, and I expect it to be well under our procurement policies, but yes.
more coming
that to
soon.
me,
I know that we're
yeah,
trying
thanks for bringing that
to
up.
maintain better communication with and about the fire department. So wanted to just put that out there.
The rack is something they'll buy or build?
I think by, but honestly, I'm not sure.
It wasn't, I don't think it was very clear, but I think by. They just wanted to start the conversation.
Yep.
I mean, I think that's fair. Facein, if you remember, we approved the fire hose. Facein was a little concerned that we're spending money that they're more hesitant to just dish out, and they did approve that fire hose purchase, and those have been purchased and they're here. I think they're going to be very hesitant to put more money that they haven't really approved and budgeted. I don't. So that's the biggest problem I foresee, and I don't know the best way around that problem, honestly.
Well, let's figure out how much it costs.
I'll reach back out to the chief.
Yep.
Thank you, Marissa.
Yep.
Yeah, I got an update from Down Street.
Oh, good.
Just as we were setting down, and I haven't really thoroughly read it, but it seems like they're plugging along. Seems the big topic this last week was dogs.
Good.
So they're instituted making sure everybody knows that there's a leash law, pick up after them, get them licensed, all that doggy stuff. She said his Selectboard, I can't remember her first name, I should know it. Said she'd get me a letter before Selectboard meeting, and she did, just barely. The Civil War Memorial in front of the Oddfellows Hall.
Before you go, I just want to I think we should be really pleased with ourselves for responding to the concerns that were raised.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that the residents came forward and that we got to exercise our capacity as Board of Health and got results. So that was feel good about that.
Yep. Yeah, I think we should.
And it's good to hear that even though we've sort of de-escalated in the process somewhat, that they are following through on looping you in as health officer on what they're continuing to do. So that's a good sign.
They do seem to
Jenny
being responsive.
Jenny
and Angie
Hislop.
have been very good.
Yep.
Okay.
Great.
Civil War Monument.
Yeah, it hasn't been mowed out around there. It's basically a hayfield.
That's in front of the Methodist Church.
Yeah, my
The Civil War
understanding,
Monument?
I actually asked Aaron Shea
No,
about it.
it's in front of
The Oddfellows Hall.
Oddfellows Hall, the Valley Players.
Oh.
Okay.
I know this because there was a photograph of me taken in front of it, dressed like a Civil War person.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that could be in our next meeting packet.
No, it cannot.
So can the mower swing by there?
Can who?
Can the mower swing by there?
Sure, probably.
I thought it was the Methodist Church because that's what I thought we granted a.
I'm sure some things get done, and I'm trying to have it evacuated out of there, taken to a shop, sandblasted, and painted again and everything. And it's got a flat tire, and the rims have been welded onto the machine, onto the cannon, to demilitarize it.
How are we going to defend ourselves?
I don't know.
Thank goodness Brian
Fred's
asked the
cannon
question.
won't be available. Yeah, so hopefully I can get that done sometime this summer
Welcome to Waitsfield.
and back. I'm sorry?
Welcome to Waitsfield.
Boom!
I used to-
That's a Pack 75 howitzer.
That means nothing to me, Fred.
It's made to come apart in pieces.
Really?
By just flipping little levers or something, parts of it come apart, and was made to go on to a horse or mule and be packed. It's a World War II cannon.
Wow.
And they use it to pack them up into the hills in Burma, and also in the battle in Italy. They took them apart.
That's amazing.
Took them up, yeah.
As
And
long as they're not welded to the,
Excuse me?
as long as the hubcaps aren't welded.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And that was a salute howitzer that the state of Vermont National Guard had. We had 3 of them. and we used to go around firing military salutes. We used to fire for the governor. We used to go over to Plattsburgh and shoot when they had a new wing commander over there and everything. So yeah, I found it a very interesting little
Put out your
job.
sailboat.
I was at a public hearing once on zoning, and they had talking about the noise ordinance was very, and one guy stood up and said, "Am I gonna be able to shoot my cannon?" It was the weirdest question I'd ever heard.
Well,
Well, thanks for doing that.
we took it out to Montpelier once. I wasn't part of that detail, to fire for the new governor. And we fired it in town, real close to the State House.
Oh, my.
And they thought that the big windows in the motor vehicle department was going to break. They said they could see it coming.
Oh, great. Oh, wow.
So after that, we had to take it over to the high school.
That's amazing.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
Judge?
That,
I can't beat that either. So we do have what I hope are 3 items for executive session that will all be pretty brief.
yep.
So, and here we don't have Dave, so we need to have a finding that, a finding that there is potential violation of lawyer-client privilege if we were to discuss one of these items in topic, and we want to go into executive session to discuss probable litigation, contracts and procurement, and personnel, in accordance with 1 VSA 313A1E, 1 VSA 313A1A, and 1 VSA 313A4. Is there a motion?
Yes.
Second? All in favor?
Hi.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
And you want to bump